Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Macon Centreplex for the series finale of this Military Appreciation Weekend. We're so glad that you decided to join us tonight for what promises to be a battle between the last two President's Cup champions, the Macon Mayhem, the Huntsville Havoc, hashing it out on a sheet of ice here in Macon, Georgia. My name is Alex Von Coydel, and thanks so much for tuning in. Well, yesterday got a bit out of hand for the Mayhem, who were hoping to make up some lost ground in the playoff picture. They fell by a 5-2 final scoreline and slipped behind the Fayetteville Marksmen in the SPHL standings. They now rank 6th in the league, but the good news is that there was plenty to be taken away from that game. There were lots of positives to be had, and Coach Thomas will talk about that pretty shortly here in the pregame show. The Mayhem kept the game close all throughout the first two periods of play. They erased a deficit twice. It was just a matter of keeping their composure in the third period. Had they done that a bit better, I'm sure the result would have been much different than it was. For the bulk of the season, folks, the third period has been a bastion of strength for the Mayhem. It was the reason they had been undefeated for so long when scoring the first goal. It was the reason they almost never yielded comeback efforts from opposing teams. Neck and neck with Peoria, the Mayhem basically had the best third period goal differential in the SPHL for a while, and over the past week, I'm afraid things have just not gone their way in period three. In the closing 20 minutes in the last three games, the Mayhem have been outscored 8-0. But last night, folks, the Mayhem hung tight with the Havoc for the first 40 minutes of play. They fell behind twice and responded quickly in back-to-back periods. They had outshot the Havoc for the entire night. However, the turning point for the game was basically a penalty that was drawn by Tyler Piacentini early in the third period. His team was shorthanded. He raced into the attacking zone. He was surrounded by black sweaters, drew a penalty against Danny Caesar, and with Caesar in the box, the Havoc immediately scored, following an offensive zone face-off, and from that point on, the Mayhem really struggled to keep their composure. Zach Urban, Stathis Umalitis, Caleb Cameron all got themselves into lots of trouble last night. Fortunately for the Mayhem, only one of those three aforementioned names was suspended from it. Stathis is still in the game tonight, and so is Caleb Cameron, but Zach Urban, unfortunately, will not be able to suit up tonight for the Mayhem. I spoke with Coach Thomas about his decision with the shortened lineup because as per the SPHL rulebook, the Mayhem were only allowed to dress 17 players today instead of 18. So with Urban obviously out and with one spot unavailable, Coach Thomas had to decide either to sit a forward or sit a defenseman, and he chose to sit a forward. So the Mayhem now only with 9 forwards playing tonight, still with 6 defensemen. With that said, the line changes are going to have to be even more important, and that we'll get into those a little bit later. The 3 keys of tonight's game. Smart line changes, spoiler alert, is one of them. Urban's suspension will leave the Mayhem shorthanded tonight, so they're just going to have to deal without their most seasoned defenseman and hunker down defensively. The forwards are going to have to chip in and help out their defensemen. They're going to have to back check probably like they've never have before to keep some of the high-scoring snipers of Huntsville's squad at bay. Huntsville, the highest-scoring team in terms of per-game goals per game average in the SPHL this season. The Havoc averaging a league-high 3.62 goals per game. Huntsville has now won 7 of its last 8 games. They've secured the head-to-head season series against Macon. They've won 4 matchups out of 6, as well as the Mayhem penalty kill played last night. They could not keep Huntsville's sharpshooters at bay indefinitely. Eventually, the Mayhem PK conceded back-to-back power play goals in the third period, and that's what happens when you go to extensive 5-on-3 penalty kills like they did. So today, the Mayhem will have to respond the exact same way they did 2 Saturday nights ago when they played the Fayetteville Marksmen. They had 96 penalty minutes against Fayetteville that Friday night 2 weeks ago, and then they responded the next night by playing a very clean, hard-fought 5-1 regulation victory, courtesy of a big third period brought in large part by who was at the time the Mayhem's newest addition, Josh Keplinger, who is in the lineup, by the way, tonight, folks. So he will be, in all likelihood, will line up alongside Danny Caesar and John Seamer tonight. So more opportunities for Josh to show what he's made of. Get into the playoff implications of last night's results a little bit. Every team in the SPHL played, so there were a few little subtle changes that happened in the playoff picture, and oddly enough, the Marksman's victory last night, who the Mayhem are cheering for the least right now, actually helped them out, because with Quad City losing, the Mayhem were able to, by default, wrap up a playoff spot. So that was a huge milestone for the organization. That's four times in as many seasons the Mayhem have clinched a postseason berth. Unfortunately, it had to come off a loss, and even more unfortunately, it had to come with a Fayetteville win. That win from Fayetteville propelled them over the Mayhem in the standings. And if the playoffs were to start today, the Mayhem would be the sixth seed and would be facing off against either Peoria, Birmingham, Huntsville, or Knoxville in the first round. 7 games remain in the Mayhem season for them to pull themselves into home ice advantage range. And to reach that goal at this point, they'll have to treat virtually every game as a must-win from here on out. And the road to getting there will not be easy, folks. There are lots of red-hot teams looming on the schedule, like Huntsville, Pensacola, Knoxville, and Peoria. I wouldn't necessarily call Peoria red-hot right now, but they're always a dangerous team. They've beaten the Mayhem in all 4 games they've played against them this season. However, the high level of adversity heading into the postseason, one would think, would do nothing but help the Mayhem prepare for what is inevitably to come in mid-April. Tonight is Military Appreciation Night Part 2, folks. We had the Army here yesterday. We've got the Air Force here today, though, of course, there are members of both branches, and I believe some from the Navy as well, both nights. So the only thing that we'll certainly miss from last night that we won't have tonight was the soldiers rappelling down from the rafters. That was a really cool pregame experience here that the fans got to witness. So we won't be able to swing that one tonight, but there are 150 airmen from the Robbins Air Force Base down in Warner Robins who will be partaking in our first intermission game, a broom ball. They're also going to be in the high 5 tunnel, sort of cheering the players on as they come out into the ice. So talking about all that and more will be your Mayhem's head coach, Leo Thomas. That interview coming your way next on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're just about to be underway. All right, welcome back, everyone, and thanks again for joining us tonight on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Alex Von Cordel, the voice of your Mayhem, joined by Macon Mayhem head coach Leo Thomas. Coach, just some of your thoughts on the game from last night against Huntsville.
Yeah, I thought we actually played a really good game. I think all 3 lines were going. It's a high-paced playoff atmosphere kind of game, and it was just unfortunate that a few penalties didn't go our way, but we can't dwell on it. We got to take all the positives out of that game and bring it into tonight.
Yeah, the score line from last night certainly didn't do the game justice. It was a well-fought, well-played, tightly contested matchup up until the third period. Just a bit of a downward spiral from there after a couple penalties didn't go Macon's way. One of the players who was getting on the penalty sheet a lot was Stathis Sumalitis. He got right into it last night. I think the way I referred to it on the air was just Stathis being Stathis. He came back and basically did exactly what he's been doing over the last few years, which is scoring big goals, putting himself in front of the net, and outworking the opposition in the corners. Did you have a sense before the game started that he was going to come out and have a performance just like that one in his first game back after missing the last 19?
It's actually weird. It kind of did, because he was in the locker room before the game, and he was going. He was pumped up for this game, and so I kind of knew he was going to have that energy and bring it to the game. It's awesome to have him back. He brings that element to that line and that big body, and he's always in the opposing player's face and around the net playing hard. So it's good. Definitely good to have him back.
Yeah, and side note, I did interview Stathis before the game last night, so maybe that was a good luck charm. Maybe that I interviewed Sean Lynch and Carter Horwitz tonight, so maybe they'll get their first with the Mayhem. Speaking of Sean Lynch, Coach, he was one of the 3 players to debut for the Mayhem last night. He and Igor Babinin and Danny Caesar. How did you think that Danny meshed on that line with John Seamer and Derek Sutliff, and how did you think Sean Lynch played in his first pro game?
Lynch played pretty well. The first couple shifts you can tell he was a little nervous. He shot the puck over the glass the one shift, but I think he settled in really well with that line. Him, Soper, and Clutch have played pretty well. They're hounding pucks all over the ice. Good on the forecheck, so that's something I brought Lynch in for. And he was up for the task and played pretty well. And I forgot what was the other guy. Caesar, yeah. Sorry, Caesar. That line was flying. On the score sheet, it didn't seem like they did a lot. They're -1 or -2, but they had plenty of chances. Puck just wasn't going in for them, but they definitely had a lot of speed and got a lot of chances in the offensive zone. So I definitely see that happening again tonight and for the rest of the season.
They certainly did, but I've got to say, Coach, I'm a little upset with you because Caesar and Seamer sound so darn similar, and they're on the same line together. It makes my life pretty difficult. They're also one number apart, and they're both right-handed and pretty much the same size, so thank you for that.
Hey, I'm sorry. I got to do what I got to do, right? So, but no, they looked good. I'm glad I did put both of them together, and I'm sorry that I'm messing up your thing there, man. I apologize for that.
That's all right. Just another challenge for me. Sometimes I'll practice tongue twisters up there in the press box before I go in the air, and that's just another one I can practice going forward. Seamer Caesar really fast 10 times. But Zach Urban ended up getting suspended for tonight's game, Coach. So we're going to be a player short. Was the decision for tonight to roll 9 forwards or 5 defensemen, and why?
I did 9 forwards and 6D. This decision that I made because I always like to have 6D back there. If I can do an extra D, then I would do that. That suspension was a tough one. I had a talk with Urban. I get it. It's a game. It's guys are chirping and stuff like that. And he got a little heated and went a little overboard. But we'll pick him up here tonight and get to work.
So what did you think of the soldiers rappelling from the rafters last night before the game started to preface the Military Appreciation Weekend?
This weekend's always huge, man. Every year I've been a part of it. It's a lot of cool stuff going on, and that was pretty cool. There's a lot of them. I wasn't expecting, I think 6 of them, but no, it was pretty cool, and just having the lights all lit up in blue, and it was a good show, and we enjoyed it, and happy that they could be here.
Were your palms getting sweaty watching them rappel down that fast?
Yeah, it's crazy. You won't see me doing that, but no, they're obviously trained to do that kind of stuff, man. So, but no, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Blair, Floyd, and I were watching. They were practicing obviously a few times before they actually did the show live. And when they were practicing, they were going a lot faster, much faster. They were going full speed basically till they hit the bottom, and right around the height of the glass, they would slam on the brakes real quick. And it was. And I'm not afraid of heights at all, but yeah. Yeah, but I was still terrified watching that. But all right, last question for you, Coach. It's our last Saturday home game of the season. We'll have a big crowd supporting us tonight. There'll be 150 airmen from Robins Air Force Base in the High 5 tunnel cheering you guys on. How much do you think the energy in this building can help the team out here tonight?
It always does, This building, when there's, a few thousand people in here, it's really loud. It's energetic for the guys. So I think the key would be for us to get that first goal and get them into it right away and just feed off it for the rest of the game. But like I said, our fans are, when they're going, it's a rocking building. So we got to make sure we play that kind of game and get those goals and put those goals in so they can cheer and get loud and feed off it.
Yeah, I spoke with Sean Lynch a little bit earlier about it, and he told me he couldn't believe how loud it was in here. Or maybe it was Carter, I think. They both said that they couldn't believe how loud it was in here last night. It was one of the loudest games they've ever played in. But, Coach, I appreciate your time, and good luck out there tonight.
Hey, thank you, man.
That's Leo Thomas, your Mayhem head coach, and this has been your pregame show. We'll be back with starting lineups and more right after this.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, we hope that you enjoyed that pregame show with Macon head coach Leo Thomas. Always a pleasure catching up with Coach, getting his thoughts from the previous game and previewing the upcoming one, which will be underway momentarily. As promised, here are your starting lineups for the visiting Huntsville Havoc. Why fix what's not broken? They're not going to pull Max Milasek out of the crease the way he's been playing lately, and he's been given the nod to start by Glenn DeTulio tonight. Milasek has played in 25 games this season. He's won 20 of them, 80% win percentage, which is essentially unheard of. He's been terrific in between the pipes for the Huntsville Havoc. He's boasted a 2.34 goals against average and a 920 save percentage. On defense, Huntsville is going with Derek Pearl and Alec Brandrup. Derek Pearl's been a player to watch of late as well. He opened the scoring for Huntsville on Saturday night 1 week ago versus the Birmingham Bulls against Birmingham about 3.5 minutes into the contest. So Pearl's going to be a player to watch in the first couple of shifts for Leo Thomas and the Mayhem. Up front, Glenn DeTulio's gone with former Macon Mayhem sniper Ryan Salkeld, who's now doing just that for Huntsville. Second in the SPHL now. He was actually passed by one of Evansville's goal scorers of all teams. Evansville, who's been in the SPHL cellar virtually all season, has one shining light on the horizon in Shane Morrissey, who's now got sole possession of first place in the SPHL in terms of goals scored. He's got 24 goals scored in 38 games played. So that's far fewer games played than the likes of Ryan Salkeld, Josh Harris, Jake Trask, Darren McCormick, and all these other elite snipers throughout the league. So got to tip your cap to Shane Morrissey for making the best out of a not-so-great situation up in Evansville this season. And finally, Stephen Rahoriak, who's got 5 power play goals in the season. That's more than half of his goal totals this season, so he's a power play specialist. Also somebody the Mayhem will have to watch for tonight, number 22 in white. The referee for tonight's game will be Stephen Hoshaw. The linesmen will be Sean DeLoey and Dan Huntington. These have been your Huntsville Havoc starting lineups. The Havoc hoping to sweep the Mayhem this weekend and extend their lead over them in the SPHL standings even further. Right now, the Mayhem sitting firmly 10 points behind the Havoc in the playoff race. And the Mayhem starting lineups will be announced by Charles Olson right here at the Macon Centreplex. Starting on defense, Jake Fayella, who returning to Macon after having missed quite a few games. 12 games he was out while he was up in the ECHL with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. He was welcomed back with open arms last night, made his return. Jarrett Cupp will be his defensive partner. Cupp, the Curry College product, has played more games for the Mayhem than any other defenseman this season. And Danny Caesar, who was brought aboard a week ago at the SPHL trade deadline, a week and a half ago at this point, trade deadline in exchange for Justin Levac and Sam Wilbur, made his Mayhem debut last night. And John Seamer skates out. He will be centering this line and perhaps on the right wing side, depending on what Coach Thomas decides to do. On their left side, number 28, the rookie phenom out of Lawrence University, Josh Keplinger, who's already become a fan favorite in very short order here in Macon. His numbers are so strong, I've got to recite them. 9 points, 5 goals through 6 games played. Ian Silvas gets the nod between the pipes. Silvas coming into this game with a 10-11-2 record, a rock-solid .915 save percentage. Unfortunately for him, he will not be countered by his former teammate with Buffalo State College, Mike DeLaverne, a good friend of his, but he will be tasked with shutting down another former teammate of his tonight in Ryan Salkeld. Salkeld got on the board last night, had a goal and an assist, was one of the 3 stars of last night's game, playing against a team for which he used to play for. 3 keys of tonight's game for the Mayhem are as follows. Number 1, discipline. Huntsville, the best disciplined team in the league. They take fewer penalties than anybody. That was the issue in the 3rd period for them last night. Smart line changes with the shortened roster because of the suspension, and protecting the middle of the ice, especially from the likes of Huntsville's top players, are your 3 keys of tonight's game. And now a moment of silence.
From Life Cycle Management Center and Robbins Air Force Base performs tonight's national anthem.
That was Master Sergeant Holly Williamson from the supply office at Air Force Life Cycles Management Center. A pleasure having Holly in the house tonight to sing our country's national anthem. She did a splendid job, just like Rachel Grant did, the Airman First Class from the 461st Maintenance Squadron from last night. The color guard down there, opposite corner from the ceremonial puck drop that will take place momentarily here at the Macon Centreplex. Dropping tonight's ceremonial puck drop will be Colonel Lyle Drew, commander of the 78th Air Force Base Wing, and Chief Master Sergeant Gary Hart. Also a pleasure having the two of them tonight here on Military Appreciation Weekend. Again, in case you missed the starting lineups for tonight's game, they are as follows. Max Millisek between the pipes tonight for Glenn DeTulio and the Huntsville Havoc. Rob Derar centering Huntsville's starting line with Stephen Rahoriak and Ryan Salkeld on the wings. Derek Pearl and Alec Brandrup on defense. As for Macon, they're going with Jake Fiala and Jarrett Cup on defense. Danny Caesar, John Seamer, Josh Keplinger up front, and Ian Silvas in net, who has made 30-plus saves in each of his last 3 starts. His last home game he had at the Macon Centreplex was outstanding. He made 31 of a possible 32 saves, was one of the 3 stars of the game, and it came in which the Mayhem scored 5 goals, which it's easy to forget about the goaltender's performance in games like that, but Silvas was terrific that night. He rightfully so earned one of the 3 stars of that game, along with Josh Keplinger and John Seamer. Silva's hoping he can have a repeat performance, do something similar to what he did that night. He was just 1 save shy of his first shutout with the Macon Mayhem. The referee for tonight's game is Stephen Hoshaw. The linesmen are Sean DeLoey and Dan Huntington. This will be the 50th game of the Mayhem's 2018-19 regular season. We're excited to have you on board, folks, for what promises to be a battle here in Central Georgia. The Mayhem, the Huntsville Havoc, both jostling for playoff positioning tonight. Right now, Huntsville firmly at 3rd place. The Mayhem just 1 point out of 5th place and 4 points out of 4th. Knoxville and Fayetteville both very much within striking distance. The Mayhem hoping, with some help from Quad City tonight, that they can surpass Fayetteville just like Fayetteville did to them yesterday. Knoxville Ice Bears also squaring off tonight. They'll be in Pensacola at the Pensacola Bay Center, taking on the Ice Flyers, who have been red hot of late. They have just propelled themselves 14 points ahead of the Quad City Storm, with whom they were pretty neck and neck earlier this season. That is no longer the case. So Quad City essentially has to win out in order to stay in playoff contention, which does not seem likely, as they've got to win all of their next 8 games. I believe they might be able to lose 1 more technically, mathematically speaking, but they certainly can't look at it that way. The other games around the SPHL tonight: Birmingham hosts Peoria, Evansville hosts Roanoke. And Fayetteville right now actually trailing 6-5 to the Quad City Storm late in period 2. In the meantime, the game you're all here to see is now underway. Derek Pearl with the puck on his stick in his own zone sends it to Alec Brandrup, whose pass out to center deflects off the stick of Jarrett Cupp, and Steven Rahoriak will gun it down in the far half wall. It squeaks over the goal line, the referee pointing to the back of the net, and Huntsville has scored 15 seconds into the game. And my goodness, not a good start for the Mayhem, and Ian Silvas is in bewilderment right now. It was just a pass that deflected off a Macon stick and just fluttered between his pads into the back of the net. And wow, that is not the way the Mayhem wanted to start this game out. Just a cupcake that squeaked between Silvas's pads. And you got to love what Carter Horwitz did, one of the newest additions to the Mayhem, a rookie in his first few pro games here, skated over to him and gave him a stick tap on the pads to encourage him and keep his confidence up. He may be young, but he knows, he understands. He's played hockey long enough to know that if his goaltender doesn't have confidence, the Mayhem have no chance. Rob Derar from the far corner shoots it off the side of the net, which has been dislodged. And we get a whistle and a stoppage of play. Was the quickest a goal has been scored against the Mayhem all season. When allowing the first goal, the Mayhem this season are 6-14-4, 5-6-2 on home ice. Peter Sakalis will rim it behind the net. It slides around the boards out to the near side, and Nick Minerva jostling for it. And it's played behind the goal line now by Dale Dion, whose shot gets blocked by Nick Minerva. Swung up now to Sakalis, who wheels into the high slot and fires a wrist shot through traffic. It skitters off the pads of Silvas and went wide of the net. And now it's Sumalides trying to kick it up to his stick. Calabrese loses it, and Cameron twists it out of the zone. The Mayhem get a 2-on-2 developing. Sumalides carries over the blue line. And a curl and drag move by Trask. Shoots and scores! A brilliant play. That's Jake Trask scoring his 23rd goal on the season. Excellent forehand to backhand maneuver in the slot. Shovel the backhand shot past the blocker of Max Milasek. And just like that, it's a tie game. 1-1 your score. First 94 seconds of play, and we've got a goal from each team. We hope you're having fun, because you don't see that very often. Just dialed back a few seconds on the clock. It was actually 88 seconds into the contest before we had 2 goals. And that's what a good leader does, what Jake Trask just did. His team had just given up a very weak goal, and he went out and really just sort of put the team on his back and said to himself, the best way to forget about that one is to go out and get one myself, and then we're back to square one. That's exactly what Jake Trask did. And a good setup by Stathis Sumalides to buy him some time and space on that 2-on-2. The Mayhem have just been guilty of icing the puck. That icing call brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. He's been rimmed off the corner of stanchions. It bounces right to Ian Silvas, who will hang on to it. So Jake Trask retying Ryan Salkeld's 23 goals on the campaign. He and Salkeld now tied for second in the SPHL. It's been backhanded up the left boards, and Sean Lynch is able to clear it out to the center red line and down. Pat Condon's got it now for Huntsville. He will drop it off for Nolan Kaiser. Jimmy Soper forces the pass out of the zone, and now Horwitz will have to race after it. No icing. Horwitz gets there before Gerling could. Got to spin away from Gerling now. He will twist it to Alexander Tallien in the corner on the near side of the ice. Tallien gives it back to Horwitz, who slaps it up the middle for Jimmy Soper. Soper's joined by Lynch. Soper feeds Lynch, left circle, who fires. It sails over the crossbar. Kept in play by Horwitz. Shivo backhands it up the far wall, and Ryan Salkeld dipsy doodles through. He is brought down by Alexander Tallien, who will be sent to the sin bin. and the Havoc will go back to their lethal power play. Alexander Tallien second in the SPHL in penalty minutes this season. Those are his 141st and 142nd. He trails only Nick Wright of the Evansville Thunderbolts, who's got 149 in 37 games played. Mayhem penalty kill will be brought to you by J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning. 17:23 into the first period, 1-1 already your score. Ryan Salkeld manning the left point with it now. Will send it down to the goal line. Nukovic coming off the boards with it, reverses it to Salkeld. And he and Nukovic switch places. Derar receives the puck in the right circle. Derar extremely lethal from there, loves to hammer the one-timer. He scored from that spot yesterday on the Huntsville man advantage. Salkeld above the left circle, delays, shoots, and it sails over the glass, out of play, off the protective netting. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. So Huntsville's goal was credited to Stephen Rahoriak, and Jake Trask responded very quickly thereafter. Salkeld up to Nolan Kaiser at the blue line. To the top of the right circle for Rob Derar. Now it's Nukovic in the far corner. Fayela's cleared it hard off the glass, and it caroms out into the neutral zone. Nolan Kaiser retrieves it. He will spirit one ahead for Rob Derar, centering for Salkeld. Slips it over to Nukovic. Outer hash marks, far circle. Kaiser, blue line. His wrist shot blocked by Sumalitis. Nukovic is able to locate the puck before anyone else could. He will get the return from Salkeld. Nukovic, far circle. Down to Salkeld at the goal line in the far corner. Salkeld attempts the circle-to-circle pass. He was hoping for Derar, but Jimmy Soper got his stick in the passing lane. Good alert defensive play made by the Mayhem's youngest forward, Jimmy Soper. The 23-year-old will turn 24 near the end of the month, Jimmy Soper. March 19th will be his 24th birthday, the Waterloo, Ontario native. And he wins a defensive zone face-off against Tyler Piacentini, and it's been cleared all the way down by Carter Horwitz. Peter Sakalis dishes it back to Alec Brandrup. Huntsville's top-scoring defenseman this season with 26 points on the campaign. Trevor Gerling in across the blue line. Sets up Sakalis on his right. 35 seconds remain on Alexander Tallien's tripping penalty. Shivo, left point, watched by Soper. He will feed it down to Gerling, back to Shivo again. Sakalis receives the pass above the right circle. He will send it into the deep slot. Brandrup twists it over to Shivo. Steps into the slot and fires. Glove snag by Silvas. A job well done tracking that wrist shot through traffic, and he makes the save. Huntsville's power play coming into this game, second best in the SPHL, a 20.9% conversion rate. It improved 0.2% percentage points from last night, even though the Mayhem PK got the better of them about 4 or 5 times before they finally managed to solve them. But by the time they did, it was too late for the Mayhem to mount a comeback attempt. Sean Lynch dumps into the zone. We'll hear from Sean Lynch, the Utica College product, during the second intermission of tonight's game. He made his pro debut yesterday and got to chat with him before the game started. Alexander Tallien let out of the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box, skates directly to the Macon bench. He's replaced by Josh Keplinger. The Mayhem improving to 1-for-1 on the J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning penalty kill. Peter Sakalis has it beneath his own goal line. He sends it over to Alec Brandrup. Brandrup sends it off the sideboards. It deflects over the glass and out of play, and a late whistle blows the play dead. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. We're exactly 5 minutes through the first period of play. We've got a 1-1 score on our hands. Huntsville's first goal being scored by Stephen Rahoriak on that fluky bounce, and Macon's response with a brilliant backhand maneuver by Jake Trask leveled the score at 1. Not quite deja vu from last night, but close enough. The Havoc scored very early into last night's tilt as well. They've been doing that a lot recently. Last Saturday they did that against the Birmingham Bulls. Derek Pearl with a power play strike. And a nice little tribute to the brave men and women who so selflessly put their lives on the line to defend the United States of America. It's been such an outstanding atmosphere here this weekend on Military Appreciation Weekend. Rob Derar will be countered by John Seamer in the ensuing face-off. Derar beats him cleanly to it. D-to-D pass from Condon to Kaiser. Kaiser redirects it into Macon territory, but I think he was just shy of the red line when he did so. So an icing call is made against the Havoc. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe, and the Mayhem will go to an offensive zone face-off opportunity. Danny Caesar, John Seamer, Josh Keplinger. Caesar and Seamer have kind of switched back and forth between center and wing. And this face-off will take place in the left circle. Seamer will do the honors, but Salkeld emerges with it on his blade immediately. And Stephen Rahoriak pushed it too far into his path, but he will pursue it. He's knocked off the puck hard by Jarrett Cup. A well-timed hit by Cup, and Seamer gets the pass from Caesar. Tries to set up Keplinger, interrupted by Derar on the back check. Now it's Salkeld swiveling his way across the blue line. Rahoriak receives the pass, flutters it into the slot. There to pick it off is Horwitz. He springs one ahead. Seamer's got a step behind the defense. Right side shoots. It goes over the crossbar, bounces into the corner now on the near side of the ice. Caesar's attempt to seal the boards was futile as the Havoc have cleared it. And it's played in the neutral zone now by Seth Ronsberg and given back to Carter Horwitz. Horwitz down the left wing would chisel it into the Huntsville zone. Stathis Sumalitis has it in the corner on the near side of the ice. Ronsberg takes his opportunity to skate down into the corner with it. He receives it from Stathis and sends it to Trask. Jake Trask, outer hash marks of the right circle, sends it at the net. Stopped by Millisek. It pinballs inside of the trapezoid. A loose puck is scooped up by Alec Brandrup. Caleb Cameron trying to force the issue. It's sprung loose for Dale Dion, and the Havoc have cleared it courtesy of Rob Derar's efforts. Now Ronsberg is pursued closely by Tyler Piacentini. Ronsberg will slide it over. Larry Smith has gotten it out of the zone. Derek Pearl now in his own end finds Piacentini lurking. Piacentini twists away from Larry Smith. He will find the trailer. It's Pearl who flutters a one-timer over the crossbar. Bounces off the backboards. Minerva's got it now. He's pressured by Sinukovic. Puck slides into the slot where it's backhanded out of harm's way by Jake Trask out into the neutral zone. Brandrup is pursued by Lynch. Lynch goes in after it. Brandrup up to Piacentini. Piacentini sends a diagonal pass up to Shivo, who is on a delayed offside. The whistle blows. We get a stoppage of play. 12:56 to go in the first period. 1-1 is your score. Rahoriak first, Trask second, and we're all leveled up at a goal apiece. Incredibly important game tonight for the Mayhem. They've lost more than enough ground. They're ready to start making a push for that fourth seed in the SPHL playoff picture. Alexander Tallien accelerates it into Huntsville territory. Then he cuts off the clearing attempt by Millisek and sends it wide of the right post. And squeaks past the blue line despite Jarrett Cupp's best efforts. Anthony Calabrese will send it into Macon territory. Tallien bats it down as it rolls into the far circle in the Macon zone. Fayella swats it out, and it's deflected by Tallien. There will be an icing called against Macon. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. A few players to watch tonight for Huntsville. Rob Derar, who's been red hot, 8 points in 6 games against Macon this season, was the first star of last night's game, had 3 points, a goal and 2 assists, including that beautiful one-timer from the right circle on a 3-way passing play between, I believe it was Nolan Kaiser and Ryan Salkeld on a Huntsville power play. Salkeld also a player to watch. Second in the SPHL in goals this season as Silvis fights off a shot with his chest following a Huntsville face-off win. And then Peter Sakalis, always a player to watch when he and the Mayhem square off. He's got 4 goals in 5 games against Macon this season. Last time the Mayhem and the Havoc squared off before this weekend was a few weeks ago out in Huntsville. And Sakalis ended up scoring 2 goals on both nights. Go on to be the Warrior Hockey Player of the Week. Danny Caesar's clearing attempt was intended to reach Keplinger. It never did. Salkeld intercepted it at center as it's sent back into the Macon zone behind the goal line. Ian Silvis leaving it now for Carter Horwitz. It's fed up to Caesar, who saucers one out towards Keplinger. A little bit too far out in front of him. Seamer blocking the clearing attempt. Keplinger draws a penalty. Centering pass is cleared aside. Silvis to the bench, but it's too late. The whistle blows. However, the Mayhem will be going to their first power play of this game. Macon on the power play this season, 8th best in the SPHL, clicking at 15.9%. Last night they were 1 for 4. I think looked even better than what the numbers would suggest. Caleb Cameron, Danny Caesar, and it looks like that's Josh Keplinger lining up at the inner edge of the left faceoff circle. Jake Trask manning the left point. Carter Horwitz in the deep slot right now. It's actually Stathis, my apologies, not Josh Keplinger, as Trask from the half wall will send it down to the goal line. As Danny Caesar angling it off the backboards to Stathis Umelitis on the far side. Rather, it's Cameron. Horwitz, Cameron again, right circle. Delays, he fires. Sails over the crossbar, but it stays in play after rattling off a couple of stanchions. Jake Trask from the left circle. Feeds it down to Caesar, who tries to tuck it in. It's denied by Millisek, picked up by Trask. Chiseled back to the blue line from Sumelitis. Horwitz put his shot towards the front. Sumelitis leaves it. Trask sends it back door. Too hard of a pass. Cameron couldn't bury it. Cameron's pinned up to the corner boards on the far side now by Derek Pearl, and he will step out in the front with it. Cameron delays, feeds it over. Trask holds on. He sends it across. Too many passes. Not enough shots. Horwitz, right point. Will give it below the goal line. Stathis Sumelitis has it. Feeds Caesar. His pass trickles around in front. It's whacked out to the circle. Caleb Cameron tees it up, sends it over to Trask, kicks it up to his stick and tries to center. Brandrup was there to intercept it. Lots of passing, but I don't think there's been a shot on goal yet by the Mayhem on this man advantage. Sumelitis left circle. He waits. Trask gives him some space. Sumelitis will feed Trask the pass. Above the left circle. He sends it down to Danny Caesar. Caesar delaying. Trask, the Havoc are exhausted. They've not cleared the puck yet on this Wild Wing Cafe power play. Cameron right circle. Up to Trask. He tees it up. His shot is blocked, and the Havoc have finally gotten it down the length. A 90-second surge in the Huntsville zone, but to no avail. The Mayhem didn't even get a shot on goal that whole time. Nick Minerva swiveling through center ice, accelerating across the blue line and dropping it to Jimmy Soper. Soper will send it behind the net. It's whacked around the board. Seamer is manning the left point. He will hold it in the zone. Seamer one-hands it down to Tallene in the left corner. Alexander Tallene up to Minerva. Slap pass to the side of the net. Seamer up to Tallene, left circle, who fires it over the crossbar. It's going to be kept in the zone at the right point by Nick Minerva. And Nolan Kaiser has been let out of the box. The Mayhem and the Havoc back to full strength. Each team has fallen to 0 for 1 on their respective power play thus far. Both teams changing some personnel. These makeshift lines are still out there. Cup Spirits one ahead. Keplinger will carry across the blue line onside. His shot attempt partially blocked by Peter Sakalis. It flies out of play. And we head to our second media timeout of period 1. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. Halfway through the first period, 1-1 your score. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
This season, the Mayhem are offering a great group package. Whether you're a school, a church, a company, or just a group of friends, give the Mayhem office a call and we'll set you up with an incredible group deal. From $13 tickets to free team hats to a unique experience upgrade of your choosing, the Mayhem have got you and your group covered. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to purchase your group tickets to a Mayhem game today.
Just a friendly reminder, folks, season tickets for next season are now available. Next season, we've got the most inclusive season ticket holder package in team history. All sorts of benefits from being a Mayhem season ticket holder. For more information, feel free to visit our website, maconmayhem.com, or give our front office a call at 478-803-1592. Jake Trask fires it just wide of the net from the left circle after that Mayhem faceoff win in the offensive zone. Sumelitis powers his way to the front, loses the puck as Cameron steps in, but the Havoc have escaped with no harm done. Outlet pass nearly finds John Shibo. It went past Cup and Shibo's stick. Shibo centers after Silvas came out of the net, and now it's going to be Pat Condon pursuing it at the left point to hold it in the zone. Condon sends it now to Josh Bose. Bose sends it back behind the net, and the Mayhem will be able to clear this one out of their end for now. Sumelitis chipping it to himself off the boards, goes to the front of the net, sends it off the side of the cage. Now Sumelitis from the corner on the far side is knocked down by Nolan Kaiser. Sumelitis loses his stick as the puck is secured behind the Huntsville cage by Pat Condon. He will play it into the left corner and go after it. He catches up with it and sends it behind the net. Nolan Kaiser. Kaiser angles it off the board. It's cut off by John Seamer. Seamer slips away from Dale Dion, then backhands a pass into the slot, hammered over the net by Keplinger. Brilliant play by John Seamer to set up the young sniper Josh Keplinger with an opportunity. And Keplinger, I think, telling his alternate captain right now that was an excellent maneuver to your backhand. And with the way Keplinger started the season with the Mayhem, I'm sure a lot of folks in this building thought he would have been able to bury that one. And he had to release it very quickly, just sent it over the crossbar. Danny Caesar will take this offensive zone face-off with Seamer on his left and Keplinger on his right. Caesar battles forward in the corner now on the near side. He fires it off the far corner, and Nick Minerva goes in after it against Dale Dion. Dion's able to spring one out to neutral territory. Danny Caesar with his head up in his own zone. Backpedals away from Tyler Piacentini, who opened the scoring for the Havoc early in the first period last night. Caesar jolting through center. He storms in across the blue line with reinforcements entering the zone with him, and Nick Minerva and John Seamer. Larry Smith pinching in into the corner on the near side, trying to win possession of the puck against Alec Brandrup. Smith will retreat and allow Keplinger to advance. Keplinger's in the F1. Brandrup's got it behind his own net as he allows Cy Nukovic to pass through. Nukovic scoops up the puck and sends it the width of the ice. Derek Pearl's got it on the left wing side. He chills it into the Macon zone. Carter Horwitz is back. The Endicott College product. We'll hear from him in the first intermission of tonight's game. I had a chance to catch up with Carter before this game started. He played against his former teammate of 4 seasons, Josh Bose, last night. Bose making his Huntsville, his professional debut yesterday. Soper sends it at the net, slowly but surely, but it was stopped by Max Milasek. Soper, good pass out to Tallene, and it escaped his reach, and now Horiak is nudged by Soper, stays on his skates, bounces out towards Ronsberg, who's going to have to go back, turn, and fetch it against Ryan Salkeld. He gives Salkeld a good ride into the boards as it's whacked behind the net from wide to the left post, and Salkeld fights for it now in the near corner. Derar trying to seal the boards and prevent a clearing attempt. He will send it back behind the Macon net. Ronsberg outlets it to Sean Lynch, who redirects it. Tries to get it past Calabrese, who played him perfectly. He's knocked off the puck by Calabrese, but Lynch was able to spring it free for Tallene, who misfired with his sharp angle shot. It rattles back around the boards all the way back into the Mayhem zone. Jake Fayella's got it for Macon. John Shivo is on the other side of him. 6.5 to be played in period 1. It's a 1-1 hockey game here at the Macon Centreplex. Long breakout pass from Fiala finds Sumalides, his former ex-ECHLer. Both of them played for quite a while up there this season. Cup's long Hail Mary pass was intended for Caleb Cameron, who would have had a breakaway, but it was cut off. Now it's Brandrup stepping into the zone, dropping it off. Snapshot, getting just a piece of it was Silvis with his glove. Now Cameron will initiate a counterattack. Sumalides shovels a backhand pass into the Huntsville slot. The Mayhem on and off side. The whistle blows and we get a stoppage of play. 5:54 to go in the first period. 1-1 is your score. We're glad you decided to join us, folks, on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. We hope you've enjoyed your Saturday. Alex Von Coyto, the voice of your Macon Mayhem, wishing you well wherever you may be. Again, folks, anyone who would like a shout-out at any point throughout this broadcast, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know who you are and where you're tuned in from, and I'd be happy to give you a shout-out before this game comes to an end, whether you're a Mayhem fan or a Havoc fan tuned in on SPHL Live or on YouTube. As Keplinger's shot is blocked, rescued by Caesar and set up for Minerva. His shot also blocked by Dion as it flutters into the neutral zone. Cy Nukovic is closed off the puck by Danny Caesar. Minerva angles it off the half wall on the far side. Condon read it and intercepted it. Nukovic from behind the net couldn't quite center it out in front the way he wanted to. Larry Smith up to Keplinger. He's hit by Nolan Kaiser. Couldn't get the puck out. Larry Smith will retrieve it. Huntsville's in the midst of a forward line change at the moment. Smith feeds it up to Keplinger. He will chisel it off the glass. Dale Dion drops it for Nolan Kaiser. Speared off his blade by Keplinger. Rob Derar. Dale Dion sends it in the zone. It bounces off the right corner boards. Salkeld catches up to it. He's held up by Carter Horwitz. Puck will dribble its way back up the half wall on the far side. Ronsberg delivers a big check on Peter Sakalis. Ronsberg's really brought the physicality so far in this game, as Sean Lynch will bounce one out of his own zone. Colleen finishes his check on Derar, who had just entered the zone. Now Horiak blocking the clearing attempt by Horwitz. He sets up shop in the left circle. Mishandles the puck. A turnaround shot is on goal. Silvis makes the save. And Tallene with a chance to clear. He will just hoist one out in and out of the glove of Peter Sakalis at center ice. Ronsberg, long pass, redirected by Soper onto the tape for Lynch. Lynch delays, feeds it ahead for Soper. His shot is blocked. Lynch gets a chance, sends it across the ice. Nobody was there on the far side. It's been cleared off the glass, and Fiala will make a play. We get a whistle and a stoppage. I believe that puck actually went off of somebody on the bench, so that's why we get the whistle. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. That last buzzer that sounded was to cue the final media timeout of period 1. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
Need to raise some money for your organization? Contact the Mayhem front office and we'll be happy to partner up with your group to help you fundraise for a cause. You buy tickets from us at $10, you sell them for $15, and then you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whatever cause you like. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to set up a fundraiser for your organization today.
4:05 remains in period 1. We've got a 1-1 score on our hands here at the Macon Centreplex. Thanks so much for joining us, folks, on SPHL Live, powered by New Line and on YouTube. We had a lot of Huntsville fans tuned in last night, so we're glad you decided to join us on the broadcast. The Huntsville fans in the building this weekend, too. My goodness. That puck just trickled on net. Max Millisek covering it with his glove. We'll have a do-over face-off in the far circle in the Macon zone. In the Huntsville zone. Caleb Cameron against Josh Bowes, if I'm not mistaken. Cameron wins the draw cleanly. It's fed back to Jake Fiala. And now Jake Trask weaving with it. Outer hash marks at the far circle. It's twisted in behind the net by Stathis Sumalitis for Caleb Cameron. Cameron will leave it for Jake Trask. He's pinned up to the boards now by Alec Brandrup. Didn't have much room to negotiate, and now it's popped over the blue line. Sumalitis will allow it to go through. Jake Fiala to make a play on it. Shivo is met by Sumalitis. The Mayhem force a turnover on the counterattack. It's Trask. He feeds it over to Cup on his backhand. He shoots. Millisek had the post covered, made the save. Now Cup and Cameron both fighting for it against Trevor Gerling of Huntsville. Cup behind the net, springs it free. Cameron's got it from the goal line. He will feed it up to Jake Fiala, whose shot from the point is blocked. It skitters back across the blue line now, and Jarrett Cup will feed it over to him. Fiala in over the red line, will gain the blue line and fling a backhand pass too far outside of the reach of Josh Keplinger. Larry Smith recovers it in his own end. It's redirected into the zone by Jake Fiala. Going after it now is Keplinger. He finished his check on Nolan Kaiser. Puck has slipped in front of the Huntsville cage. Nukovic had it go off his stick. Keplinger tries to twist it in front. It bounces across the blue line, and Larry Smith is back to get it. Puck bounces off of Dale Dion's stick, rolls awkwardly over the Macon blue line. Havoc thought they might have been on a delayed offside. That's not the case. Larry Smith making an excellent clear off the glass and down. Out racing the opposition for an icing looked like was John Seamer, and yet an icing call was made, nevertheless, by Sean Delowy. Icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. We've got 2.5 minutes to play here in period 1. Still a 1-1 score on our hands. Jake Trask responding to Stephen Rahoriak's fluky goal within hardly any time at all to level the score at 1. A big bad turnover right in front of the net following a Macon defensive zone faceoff win. Bailing them out was Ian Silvas with a pad save. And now Keplinger makes a break for it, gets the pass, 1-against-1 on Calabrese, who knocks it off his stick. Anthony Calabrese spears the pass onto the tape for Tyler Piacentini, who will hammer a slap shot from center ice. Ian Silvas made a glove stop. And the whistle blows. Tyler Piacentini opening the scoring for Huntsville last night. Sort of just a lackadaisical play by the Mayhem in front of their own cage, and Piacentini just shoveled it over Tanner Creel, over his blocker, off the left elbow of the net, and sort of went bar down to give the Havoc a 1-0 advantage. We talked about how lately it's almost been better for the Mayhem to concede the first goal than it's been for them to score it. Salkeld sends it off the half wall on the far side. Tallinn fighting for it. Salkeld will chisel it in behind the net, and Stephen Rahoriak is pickpocketed there by Carter Horwitz, who receives the pass from Lynch. Horwitz steps in over the blue line. He wipes out The Havoc have cleared it all the way down. This might be far enough for icing. It may not be. Ronsburg gets there first. No icing is called against Huntsville, but Ronsburg is able to prevent any scoring chance coming from that opportunity. Ronsburg's played a very good game defensively, in my opinion, thus far. Gaps in his spacing have been perfect in the far corner, especially. He's really used his body to prevent any Huntsville scoring opportunities from transpiring. Cameron will work it off the glass, too far outside of the reach of Trask. Huntsville back in possession at center. It's flung off the boards in front of the Macon bench. Possession is secured now by Trask, who will motor down his off wing and feather a backhand pass in front for Sumalides, whose shot is denied by Max Milasek. Very skillful pass there by Jake Trask. Sumalides was surrounded, and so was Trask, by the way. He put it onto his backhand and sort of fluttered a saucer pass. Because of that, it went between the Huntsville defenders' sticks and landed flat on the tape for Sumalides, who had a pretty good opportunity out of that. There's not a whole lot of players who can make that play like Jake Trask just did and made it look easy in the process. Alec Brandrup, Huntsville, having won the defensive zone faceoff, are able to get it out into the neutral zone and beyond that as Josh Bowes will pursue it. Nukovic is dispossessed by Trask. He's got Cameron joining him. Trask sets up Cameron over the blue line. Cameron dropping it. Trask left circle. Waits. Jake Trask shimmies his way away from Derek Pearl, who stays on him closely. Trask puts it in front for Sumalides, who will leave it off for Cameron left circle. Caleb Cameron switches with Jake Trask. Fayella is heading to the bench to be replaced now by Larry Smith. Cameron leaves it off for Smith, fresh off the bench. From the right circle, he shovels a pass towards the net. It's intercepted and will be cleared now by Derek Pearl. He actually skates it out himself, but he's hit pretty hard by Larry Smith right in front of the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box. Piacentini centers, chance for Bowes. He is stick lifted from behind by Seamer. Excellent back checking by the Mayhem's alternate captain. 10 seconds remain in the period. Sumalides enters the zone. He shovels a pass over nicely. Caesar, right circle, delays. He centers it. Sumalides scoops it up. Time is running out, and that'll just about do it for period one. A fun period to watch. Even more fun to broadcast. 1-1 your score through the opening 20-minute stanza. It's the same situation both teams were in last night. Both teams were also in a situation last night in which they were tied after 2 periods of play at 2-2. And then a 3-goal third period for Huntsville would erase any doubt. This season, the Mayhem, when entering the second period tied, are 9-6-2. They've got a 4-2-0 record on home ice. Pretty promising record, I would say. We've got about an 18-minute first intermission break or so. And we'll, in that intermission break, we'll have interviews from one of the Mayhem's newest additions, Carter Horwitz. We'll take a look around the SPHL, and we'll break down this first period for you in greater detail. First, let's take a look around the SPHL before we play the Carter Horwitz interview. Quad City is in Fayetteville tonight. That game started a little while ago. Games in Fayetteville on Saturdays always start at 6 o'clock, as we found out last weekend. So Quad City right now up 7-5 over the Fayetteville Marksmen, which is good news for the Mayhem because the Marksmen just passed them. If the Marksmen lose tonight and the Mayhem win, they will repass the Marksmen for 5th place in the SPHL. Elsewhere, Knoxville is in Pensacola in the pregame festivities going on right now. Evansville hosting Roanoke. Evansville beat Roanoke last night, by the way. So the Thunderbolts, you got to tip your cap to them, despite the situation that they're in, where they've been out of a playoff spot for a while now, and they're still fighting hard. They still scored 7 goals last night against Roanoke. So got to respect what Evansville is doing this late in the season when hope has been lost for a little while for them, and yet they're still beating some pretty good teams. So and then Birmingham hosting Peoria this evening. The Rivermen have been struggling, folks. They've lost 5 games in a row. 4 of them were to Knoxville, and then they lost last night in the shootout to the Birmingham Bulls. Though you've got to credit them a little bit. They were down by 2, and they mustered a third period comeback to force the shootout to begin with, but they couldn't pull things out, couldn't pull it off in the shootout. But They just re-signed their head coach, Jean-Guy Trudel, very long-tenured head coach of the Peoria Rivermen, to a 2-year contract extension. So he will continue to be at the helm of the Peoria Rivermen for years to come. And that's, he said, that's where he wants to be. So Trudel and his empire will continue in Peoria going forward. That's about all for our Hampton Inn and Suites out-of-town scoreboard update. Only one other game is actually in progress right now. The others, according to SPHL Live, are still in pregame. So we're going to head to our first intermission interview with Mayhem rookie defenseman wearing the number 3 tonight, Carter Horwitz. That's coming your way next, folks, on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Again, thanks for joining us tonight on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on SPHL Live, powered by New Lion, and on YouTube. We're glad to have you with us here on Military Appreciation Night. I had the chance to catch up with a very special guest we have on hand, number 11 normally, number 3 for this weekend, defenseman Carter Horwitz. Carter, first off, appreciate your time, and thanks for joining me here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, Carter, first off, just talk about what your first pro hockey experience has been like over the past 3 games here in Macon.
Yeah, it's been a dream come true, honestly, and especially getting the first home game in last night. It was nice to be in front of the home fans and be in our own locker room and be around the guys. It's been incredible, really a dream come true for me.
Yeah, absolutely, and we expect an even better turnout tonight for Saturday's game. It's our last Saturday home game of the season, series finale, end of a military appreciation weekend. It should be a lot of fun here. What have been some of the biggest differences you've had to adjust to since coming down from Endicott College?
I'd say the biggest difference is the size of all the players. I think that most everybody besides pretty much myself is pretty big out there, as well as every line can make a play on both teams. You can't take anybody lightly, and as soon as you give somebody a step, they're gone. So I think that's the biggest difference. But it's been fun. It's been a cool experience to kind of learn and develop my game a little bit more and understand what it takes to play.
Right, but at the same time, I would think somebody like yourself, a smaller defenseman who's more mobile and can move the puck really well, it's got to be an inspiration to a lot of younger players out there. And you're seeing it at the NHL level. Defensemen don't have to be 6'3", 215 pounds anymore to compete at a high level. And you've been a case in point, in my opinion. Of that philosophy so far since you've been here. You got your first pro point yesterday on the power play on Jake Trask's goal. How did it feel to get that one under your belt?
Yeah, it felt good to get that off my chest there, but, it's really all Trasker just taking it. It was a pretty easy pass that I had to make, and he just did his thing. Great shot, but it felt good. It was good to hear the goal horn and see the lights go off. That's a pretty fun. It was a cool experience.
And I can imagine, and hearing your name yelled out by the public address announcer after the goal was scored. So, Carter, you played against Josh Bowes last night. He was a teammate of yours for 4 years up at Endicott. Did you know he'd be suiting up for Huntsville yesterday? And what was it like to play against someone who you've been teammates with for the past 4 years?
I did find out yesterday morning. At first, he told me he wasn't supposed to be in until tonight, and then something happened, and he was playing, and it was a weird experience. It was, it's one of my best friends from school. We've gotten pretty close over the last 4 years, but it was cool to see, a friendly face, a familiar face out there. He looked good. He had two pretty good scoring chances, but it was just a cool experience, and I don't think anybody would have thought that at the beginning of our freshman year we'd be here playing pro hockey. It's a pretty cool experience and awesome to play against him.
There had to have been at least a few shifts when you guys were out on the ice together. Were there any times in which you your paths crossed and you collided or anything like that?
Maybe gave him a little stick to the back of the knee once or twice, but it's all fun and games, and I was able to talk with him a little bit during warm-ups, and it's just unbelievable. He's a great player, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, he is. He had also, like yourself, he had an outstanding senior year up at Endicott. Great numbers. He had over 40 points and A lot of your buddies from back at school, I think, were giving us a hard time a little bit on Twitter. They were they were definitely giving you guys a shout out, though. I think they were calling for more ice time, especially for Josh. But he's got to pay his dues. It was his pro debut last night, wearing the number 8 for Huntsville. So Carter, tonight it's our second day of Military Appreciation Weekend. We've got 150 airmen coming in from Robins Air Force Base supporting us. We had the soldiers rappelling from the rafters last night. What did you think about that little show before the game started yesterday?
My hands were sweating watching that. I'm afraid of heights, so seeing that, I was pretty scared. But everybody got down. That's their job. That's their I'm super thankful for everything that they've done, and we got a chance to visit the Air Force Base on Wednesday, I believe, and it was awesome to just see what their life is like and appreciate that much more, everything they do for us.
Yeah, certainly. And when we were watching them, before they went on in front of everybody, we were watching them practice, and they were going twice as fast when they were just practicing. And I was like you. My hands were sweating. I don't consider myself to be afraid of heights. I love roller coasters. I know that's not the same thing, but I was still nervous watching that. And they were basically going full speed until they came to right about the height of the glass here, and then they would slam on the brakes real fast. So it was terrifying to watch. But like you said, those guys they know what they're doing, and they've served in tours all over the world. So it was a pleasure to have them here and to witness that. Last question for you, Carter, and I'll let you get going. Zach Urban was suspended last night, so you'll probably be leaned on a little bit more with that in mind tonight. What's your thought process heading into the tilt here?
I think I don't really try to change my game too much. Like you said earlier, I'm a mobile defenseman. I like to move pucks and join the play when I can. So if that opportunity arises tonight, I fully expect to take advantage of that. And if not, I'm fully prepared to play some steady defense and play lockdown defense and try and get the win here tonight.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to it. And Carter, I really appreciate your time, and thanks again for joining me here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's Carter Horowitz, defenseman number 3 tonight for your Macon Mayhem. This has been your first intermission report. We'll be back in just a moment with your out-of-town scoreboard update brought to you by Hampton Inn & Suites and so much more right after these messages. Keep it right here on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
This season, the Mayhem are offering a great group package. Whether you're a school, a church, a company, or just a group of friends, give the Mayhem office a call and we'll set you up with an incredible group deal. From $13 tickets to free team hats to a unique experience upgrade of your choosing, the Mayhem have got you and your group covered. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to purchase your group tickets to a Mayhem game today. Need to raise some money for your organization? Contact the Mayhem front office and we'll be happy to partner up with your group to help you fundraise for a cause. You buy tickets from us at $10, you sell them for $15, and then you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whatever cause you like. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to set up a fundraiser for your organization today.
Next season, the Mayhem are offering the most inclusive and rewarding ticket package in team history. These perks extend over all 28 home games at the Macon Centreplex. Your season ticket package gets you 2 buddy passes to any of the 28 home games, a 32-ounce Mayhem souvenir cup with $3 refills, a discounted season-long parking pass with access to VIP parking, 10% savings at the Mac Shack, a Mayhem lanyard, early access to the arena before games, VIP entrance to the arena, 3 exclusive team gifts, talk with the coach before the games, and much more. Head to MaconMayhem.com to check out how you can secure your spot for the 2018-2019 season of Mayhem hockey.
Adjustment. So All right, so close to that hat trick the other night. We were all hoping for it. What else? What was going through your mind in those last couple minutes of the game?
Well, I was gassed, and Coach threw me out there in the last 2 minutes of the game to try to get me a hat trick, and I can't say I was mad because I, want to be on the ice as much as possible. But I mean, we had the power play late in the game, and we were up, and you want to score, but at the end of the day, you just want to get the win and the 2 points, and that was what's most important for us. And whether we won 6-1 or 5-1, it didn't really mean that much to me, and getting that hat trick wasn't the first thing on my mind. It was winning. So I'm sorry I couldn't make it happen, but yeah.
I might have jinxed him, though, because I remember kicking him on his butt and saying, just go finish it with the 2 minutes left. So that kind of probably my fault. Blame it on.
And I probably jinxed it too by saying he might get a hat trick on the air. That's what.
So it's not
always
even
happens.
really my fault then. It's these guys' faults, right?
Yep. I knew that second one coming into the season. I've come to learn the first one. I've come to learn not to say hat trick. And I think I've jinxed Trask at least 4 times this season. He probably hates me. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No pressure or anything, right?
This question is for Coach. So obviously there's an A that's come off of Jersey, and I was just curious if you could talk about how the leadership is changing on the team towards the end of the season.
The reason that one came off, the third A, when Sumi got called up, I planned on, we call it like a floating A, so it was going to go from maybe a different guy or different players throughout the rest of the season. So, I decided to go with Urban first when he came back from Toledo, and had a conversation with him about it. Kind of told him what my plan was, and he was the first guy that was going to wear it. So I do have close to a decision on who it's going to go to next. But yeah, the leadership's been the same. I still have Trask and Seymour with the other two, and my plan was just have this third one floating around until Sumalitis got back. So.
All right, welcome back, folks. Well, we hope you enjoyed that interview with Mayhem defenseman Carter Horwitz and some other messages, along with a little segment of our last line change show from actually 2 weeks ago, or last week rather, season 1, episode 4 of Line Change. We've really enjoyed doing it. By the way, folks, if you're interested in coming out to a line change show, we'd love to have you. The guests have been great every time. The questions have been good. We've gotten it seemingly more and more folks showing up each and every week. So it's really been picking up some momentum, and we hope to keep it going every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the Rookery. We'll hopefully we'll try to get each and every one of those shows recorded and archived on the Mayhem YouTube channel, which, by the way, we're also growing in that department. Lots of people subscribing to our YouTube channel over the past few days. We love the support, everyone. Thanks so much for subscribing to our YouTube channel. We're thankful to have you on board with us, and we're hoping to keep that growing as well. Sure, I'm going to try to get on a few road trips towards the end of the season. If not, then by the playoffs. So we can continue broadcasting these games when we're on the road as well, and not just at home, because of all the support we've gotten on YouTube. The supply has to meet the demand. So 1-1 is your score through the first 20 minutes of play here at the Macon Centreplex. Jake Trask answering the call after a fluky goal was scored by Steven Rahoriak just 16 seconds into the contest. Really strange how that one went in. He just sort of stepped in across the blue line and attempted to center a pass into the slot, and it bounced off a Macon stick and fluttered up in the air and just sort of hoodwinked Ian Silvis bouncing between his 5-hole, but Silvas responded well. He was flawless for the rest of the period, made a couple of nice glove snags, did some good leather flashing, and fortunately for him, the best thing that could have possibly happened did happen. And just a minute and 18 seconds later, Jake Trask and Stathis Sumalitis crisscrossed down the right side into the Macon zone. Did a nice little scissors play on the entry, and Sumalitis left the puck off for Trask, who took matters into his own hands, backhanded a hard shot under the blocker of Max Milasek, and nothing will help you forget about a weird goal like that better than what Trask just did. So great leadership shown by the Mayhem's longest tenured player, and we're deadlocked in a 1-1 stalemate at the onset of period 2. While we've got a second, let's take a brief look around the SPHL for another Hampton Inn & Suites out-of-town scoreboard update. Just like last night, it's another busy night in the SPHL. All 10 teams are in action this evening. So lots of playoff implications on the line for multiple teams. Right now the Havoc in 3rd place, the Mayhem in 6th, both of them trying to solidify their positioning in the standings. Birmingham and Peoria is well underway, but there's no score in the contest yet. Quad City holding on to I want to say comfortable 2-goal lead, but the way that game's gone, I don't think any lead is comfortable. It's 7-5 in favor of Quad City up at Crown Coliseum right now. So if that score holds, then the Mayhem will have the chance to pass the Marksmen by the end of the night, as they sit just a point behind Fayetteville in the standings. Pensacola and Knoxville has just gotten underway, as has Evansville and Roanoke. No score in any of those games, so just goose eggs across the board except for this one and Fayetteville Quad City. Again, 7-5 your score in favor of the Storm. 1-1 the score through 20 minutes of play here at the Macon Centreplex. One last time, Peoria is in Birmingham, Knoxville is in Pensacola, and Roanoke is in Evansville. That wraps up your first intermission out-of-town scoreboard update presented by Hampton Inn & Suites. The second period of Mayhem Havoc hockey just about to be underway. We'd like to take this time to thank everyone who's decided to join us tonight for a Saturday night showdown, the last battle between these two teams for the rest of the 2018-19 regular season. The Havoc have already secured the season series victory, but the Mayhem still with very valuable points on the line tonight. Caesar follows up what Seamer started and rips a shot on goal, and a high chest save is made by Max Milasek. The clock continued to run for an extra few seconds. Another quick whistle following a neutral zone face-off win. And unfortunately, Caesar couldn't return the favor. Rob Derar sends a puck up to Stephen Rahoriak, and now Josh Keplinger will send it off the half wall on the near side, and going after it, closes off Derek Pearl, who will move it to Alec Brandrup. Puck's twisted into the Huntsville slot. Rob Derar is there to collect it. He will feed a pass up the wing for Stephen Rahoriak, who pulls the trigger. He wires it wide to the blocker side post of Silvas, and Caesar will chisel it out of the Macon zone. Brandrup guiding it on back to Peter Sakalis, who outlets the puck ahead to Stephen Rahoriak. His shot is denied by Ian Silvas. The puck trickles at the net. Again, Silvas covers it up at the side of his crease with his glove. Peter Sakalis with a good heads-up pass there from his own zone from the far corner. Just whipped it up the right wall and found Stephen Rahoriak sort of lurking behind enemy lines. Gave him a good opportunity. Rahoriak, a Mercyhurst grad, 5 power play goals on the season, second on the team. That's half his goal total. Cy Nukovic will take an offensive zone face-off. Puck flutters up to the blue line. Sakalis wedges it off the half wall on the near side. Trask trying to drop it to Ronsberg, who one-hands it back to Trask. Trask's pass redirects off the stick of Sumalitis. Wobbles over to the Texas Roadhouse dasherboard, and the puck is sent out of play into the Huntsville bench. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. There will be an ensuing draw that takes place near the blue line. Kroger Chuck-a-Puck, of course, folks, taking place during the second intermission of tonight's game. It's going to be a huge jackpot for some lucky winner eventually. Last I checked, the jackpot was $2,500. It's got to be over that by now. a $2,500 gift card to Kroger. You'd be set for years in terms of grocery shopping. Huntsville winning the offensive zone draw. Calabrese with a shot through traffic, stopped by Silvis with the blocker. The rebound was in a dangerous spot. The Mayhem have cleared the danger for now as it's whacked out of the air by Jake Trask with his glove. Shivo will deposit it past him. Ronsberg from his own corner reverses it up to Trask. Bounces off his face mask, it looks like. Now it's Piacentini stepping into the slot, firing it over the crossbar. And from the far half wall, it's battled for by Carter Horwitz and Cy Nukovic. Eventually it flutters back to Silvis. Horwitz fighting for it behind the net, springs free. Nukovic attempts a shot from a near impossible angle. He just hit the outside of the crossbar, and Silvis will pounce on it. Cy Nukovic second in the SPHL with 37 assists this season. The Montreal native has 15 assists on the power play. He's been lethal in that department. The 31-year-old still going strong, the oldest player on the ice. Josh Bowes following a Huntsville faceoff win in the offensive zone. Couldn't make much happen there as Kaiser will rattle it back into the Macon zone from the red line. Dale Dion goes after it. Bowes turns it at the net. Pad saves Silvis. Picked up behind the cage again. Dion twisting and turning with it. Defended closely by Larry Smith. Dion tries to fire it up to the top of the circle. It's Kaiser who sustains a check from Sean Lynch. The puck pinballs back to Silvis, who will take a whistle. Sean Lynch is the next guest we'll hear from, folks, during the second intermission of tonight's game. 4 seasons at Utica College, had a great senior year. Through 28 games played, he notched 27 points, 11 goals, 16 assists. He's assistant coach Ryan Michaels' cousin. He'll mention that and a whole lot more during the second intermission of tonight's game, so be sure to stick around for that. Danny Caesar receives the puck, but he looked like he had just overskated it a tad, and the other number 16, Ryan Salkeld, will make him pay for it. Salkeld closes off Minerva. Cameron rims it around the boards. It's cut off by Steven Rahoriak, who fires it at the net, stopped by Silvis. Salkeld held up now by Nick Minerva. Bounces behind the cage. Cameron's pass is intercepted by Condon, who turns it over. Danny Caesar could get a 2-on-1 counterattack, joined by Keplinger. In front, Keplinger couldn't quite get a shot off as it was redirected off his stick by the back-checking Rob Derar. Good intention there by Danny Caesar, but Derar with a better back check. Now Jake Fiella. He feeds it up to Jake Trask. Trask sends it into the right corner. Cameron puts the body now on Pat Condon. Puck is recovered in the corner on the near side by Sumalides. Fiella's pass is broken up. He wanted to get it to Trask. No luck with that. Cameron receives it now. He's joined by Trask on a 2-on-1. Cameron in front for Trask. Pad save, Milasek. Brilliant stop at the goal line. And we remain tied up at a goal apiece. That was Macon's best opportunity, besides their goal probably, of this game. Jake Trask nearly with his second goal in as many periods would have given the Mayhem their first lead of the weekend. Good saucer pass across the crease by Caleb Cameron. Unfortunately, it happened so fast, all Trask could really do was just get it on net. He did that much, but Milasek was able to make the save with his pad. Had Trask elevated it, it would have gone in. Trask turns with it now. He reverses it to Stathis Sumalides, who twists with possession. Stathis steps up into the high slot and will drop it for Jarrett Cup. Fed across. The shot is sent wide into the corner again. Trask puts it behind the net, and Jarrett Cup has it. He reverses it back to Trask, who will leave it in the corner on the near side for Stathis Sumalides. The Mayhem cycling the puck brilliantly now in the attacking zone, as Jake Trask will collect it near the sign station logo. He centers it for Sumalides. It went past his skates. Fiella pumps it behind the net. Jake Trask is drilled up to the end wall by Derek Pearl. Sumalides escapes with it and looks to the front. He's got Soper. He will send it over to Trask. Hacked out to the slot, and Jarrett Cup tries to whip it at the net. It is blocked, and out comes Huntsville with possession. Piacentini up to Nukovic. Hammers a slap shot into the glove of Ian Silvis. Inside Nukovic can do a lot more than just pass. And that was a booming slap shot that Ian Silvis was able to nullify with his glove. Another good long shift in the attacking zone by the Mayhem. Their top line really making Huntsville's defenders chase. Jake Trask, Stathis Umalitis, Caleb Cameron. Had some outstanding shifts tonight, folks. Trevor Gerling from the left corner. He will shovel it down the half wall on the near side. Ronsberg trying to poke it free off the stick of Dale Dion, who continues fighting for it. In his rookie season in the SPHL, Dale Dion. Alexander Tallien is stood up by Peter Sakalis. He gets a second chance to clear it, and he succeeds this time as Lynch receives a long breakout pass, goes into the left corner to fight for it. He will chisel it back to Caleb Cameron, who is sized up by Sakalis near the far corner. Tallien is in there trying to help him out. Sean Lynch will skate to the Macon bench without his helmet, which is spinning like a top right now behind the Huntsville net. Still they battle for it. Hasn't been moved for a few seconds. Not often do you see the puck be frozen, but it looks like that's happened here. Back in the olden days, that used to happen 25, 30 times a game. It used to be a tactic that was used by everybody, and now it's not really part of the game anymore. But that was a rare instance of the puck being frozen along the boards. And I believe it was the decision was Stephen Hoshaw's to blow the whistle. So we get a stoppage of play with 14:54 remaining in period 2. Still we're tied at a goal apiece. We'll be right back after these messages, folks. Keep it right here on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
This season, the Mayhem are offering a great group package. Whether you're a school, a church, a company, or just a group of friends, give the Mayhem office a call and we'll set you up with an incredible group deal. From $13 tickets to free team hats to a unique experience upgrade of your choosing, the Mayhem have got you and your group covered. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to purchase your group tickets to a Mayhem game today.
So Danny Caesar will get a shot at an offensive zone face-off in the left circle in the Huntsville zone. He wins it back to Keplinger. He gets it right back and shovels it towards the net, blocked by Alec Brandrup. Keplinger takes Brandrup into the corner, fighting for possession against him and Rahoriak. It's worked back up the board, squeaks through past Caesar, and the Havoc are out to center with it, and perhaps beyond that, they've got some numbers entering the zone. Right side, Nukovic the shot, and another glove save is made. That was Ryan Salkeld, rather. And Ian Silvas able to deny his former teammate at Buffalo State College with his glove. Like be an equipment issue down there with Danny Caesar, but he looks to be okay. He was just sort of keeled over below the goal line without one of his gloves, I believe, picking up his stick again. So Salkeld will feed it in behind the Macon cage. Caesar bounces it up to John Seymour, who has just cleared it off the glass and down. Keplinger loses his stick. Seymour has to wait. The Mayhem on a delayed offside. Caesar gets back across the blue line. Seymour is good to forecheck now. The outstretched stick of Ryan Salkeld could not redirect that puck, so we've got an icing called against Huntsville. That icing's been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. 14:08 to go in the second period. 1-1 is your score. The Mayhem will go to an offensive zone face-off, and Leo Thomas has sent the big guns back out there. Stathis Umalitis, Jake Trask, Caleb Cameron, Jake Fayella, and Jarrett Cupp. Mayhem missing a couple of key defensemen for tonight's game. Kristaps Bazovics and Zach Urban, who have made up the Mayhem's top defensive pair for much of the season, both out of the lineup. One due to injury, the other due to suspension. Jake Trask couldn't clear it, but he knocked it back off of Ryan Salkeld's stick. The two of them tied for second in the SPHL in goals with 23. Peter Sakalis from the neutral zone will feed Rob Derar. Derar will fire it into the opposite corner, the Vermont grad. Played in Reading for a month and returned a few weeks ago from the ECHL. Get on the score sheet through 7 games played up at the Reading Royals. The flying puck goes into the Huntsville bench. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. I find it hard to believe that Rob Derar was unable to contribute on the score sheet while with the Reading Royals. I'm guessing he wasn't used in the same way that Glenn DeTulio uses him. The way that Glenn DeTulio uses him is, I think, the way that he likes to be used, which is basically just set up shop in the right circle and wait for the puck to come his way and just fire one-timers at the net all day. That's how he's been able to accumulate 8 points in 6 games played against the Mayhem this season. Blasted into the zone by Peter Sakalis. Tyler Piacentini will fire it back in behind the net. From the trapezoid, it's battled for by Nukovic and Carter Horwitz. Horwitz gives Nukovic a shove into the boards on the corner on the near side. Nukovic is back on it. He will feed Piacentini, who centers it, hoping for Shivo. Intercepted by Sumalitas, who's joined by Trask. 2-on-1. Sumalitas passes in for Trask. Backhand shot. Scores! Jake Trask, second of the game, and the Mayhem have their first lead on the weekend. Jake Trask is now tied for the SPHL lead in goals again. That's his 24th on the season. He's got 2 tonight. It's happened 6 times this season in which he's got a multi-goal game. From Jake Trask, the alternate captain. One alternate captain to the other. Sumalitas and Trask connecting on both of Macon's 2 goals tonight. Pat Condon losing an edge while falling, was able to spirit the puck into the corner for Dale Dion. Collected now on the far side by Sean Lynch. He will pop one ahead. Jimmy Soper one-hands it through and will go in after it in the far corner. He sends it at the net from a tough angle. Bounces around down there, but Milasek is able to pounce on it and take a whistle. 12:37 to go in the second period. 2-1 Mayhem is your score. Jake Trask with both of Macon's goals. Peter Sakalis was the lone defenseman back responsible for defending a 2-on-1 rush, in which Stathis Sumalitas and Jake Trask were motoring down the other direction. You can't help but feel for Peter Sakalis in that situation. I don't know if Sakalis realized that Trask was creeping down the right side, because he didn't even seem to concern himself with him. He went straight after Stathis, who just popped the pass up the slot for Jake Trask, who was completely uncontested against Max Milasek, and from that range, Jake Trask is as good as gold. One of the best goal scorers in this league for years. You cannot allow him to get a chance like that. Nick Minerva will leave it in the corner on the near side, and Larry Smith feeds it ahead for Jimmy Soper. It's gloved down by Nick Minerva from the red line. He will hoist one into the right corner. It'll bounce and skedaddle along the end wall. Big collision delivered by Jimmy Soper. The puck is sprung free, and Sean Lynch takes over in the corner on the near side of the ice. Tallene is wrapped up and falls down. Not a lot of penalties have been called in this game. This is exactly what we were talking about 2 Saturdays ago. 96 penalty minutes as Derar steps into the circle and fires. Getting a piece of it with his shoulder was Ian Silvis. Worked back up the wall from the right point. The shot is flung wide of the net by Anthony Calabrese. But 2 Saturdays ago, there were 96 penalty minutes when the Mayhem played against the Fayetteville Marksmen. Both teams knew they had to settle down on Saturday night, and both teams did that. It was a much more disciplined game on both fronts. The Mayhem would end up winning that game 5-1. Seamer flying down the left wing, steps into the circle. He fires, it's blocked, and Rob Derar picks up the loose puck. Derar feeds it up the right wing, gets the return pass, will survey his option and give it back to the direction from which he got it, to Ryan Salkeld. Cup coughs up possession as he was heavily outnumbered down there in the far corner. Sakalis' shot misses the left post. Derar from the right half wall turned it over to Jarrett Cup, who stays on it. And the puck is on its edge, whacked back to the side of the net. Salkeld will drive in behind. Ryan Salkeld's pass reaches Sakalis as it pinballs off the side of the cage. Jarrett Cup will work it up to Josh Keplinger, who is joined by Seamer and Horwitz. Keplinger will just fire it on net from the left wing side, and Milasek is able to make the stop. 10:26, 5-4, 3 to go in period 2. Boy, the timekeepers are really letting the clock tick off after whistles in this game. I've noticed a few times in which they're just a little behind the 8 ball, it seems like. 2-1 the score in favor of Macon. And I think the referee has just skated over and told them to add a few seconds onto the clock, which they should do because they allowed it to tick off for at least an extra 5 seconds. And nobody's really understanding what the reasoning behind that is. So Job well done by Stephen Hoshaw paying attention to that, and he has just informed Terry Reynolds, the head off-ice official, to get it fixed. 5 seconds have been added to the clock. The puck drops in the left circle in the Huntsville zone. The Havoc end up with it. Derek Pearl will rattle it around the boards, and John Shibo will feed a pass horizontally across the blue line. Tyler Piacentini will redirect it into the Macon zone. Nice little dangle. He will now try to spin away from Caleb Cameron. He puts it out in front, bounces up the slot. Jake Trask is there to collect it. He will feed Stathis Sumulidis on the left side. Sumulidis is joined by Trask and Cameron. And Stathis' shot is handled by Milasek. He will hold on for another faceoff. 10:02 to play in the second period. 2 seconds away from the halfway point of regulation in this game. 2-1 Macon is your score. Jake Trask got both of the Mayhem goals. Caleb Cameron cleanly winning the offensive zone draw. Back to Ronsberg. Sumulidis with a head fake. He puts it in front. Cameron on his backhand is brought down. A penalty will be called against Huntsville for tripping. Cameron may have had a goal there had he not been tripped, so that's what you call a well-timed penalty by Huntsville's number 8, Josh Bose. So this media timeout really could not have come at a better time for the Mayhem unless it was after an icing, but this is just as good because now Leo Thomas will have plenty of time to draw up a little strategy here for this oncoming power play. Jake Trask will stay out there, and so will Stathis Sumulidis. Leo Thomas drawing things up right now on his whiteboard. As you can see on the right side of your screen on SPHL Live. Caleb Cameron, John Seamer, it looks like will also be on this unit. And the lone defenseman will be Carter Horwitz. Both teams 0 for 1 on their power plays so far tonight. We're going to keep it right here throughout this media timeout. Huntsville's penalty kill struggled greatly at the start of the season. You've got to tip your cap to them because for a while they were dead last in the SPHL. And when I say for a while, I mean a while, folks. Probably a good third of the season had gone by before they started to really pull themselves out of the abyss in terms of their PK. But they were down in the mid to low 70s, which was sort of a jaw-dropping to me because they had just won a President's Cup and they've been a highly competitive team in this league for a long time, but to see their penalty kill where it was pretty shocking. But now they're back up in the middle of the pack, 81.3% on the PK. The Mayhem's power play at 15.9%. Horwitz at the blue line. We'll send it over to Jake Trask, left half wall, down to Seamer, up to the top again. Horwitz will fire, just missed the right post. Good hard wrist shot by Carter Horwitz, who's awaiting the puck at the right point, but it was cleared by Rob Derar well over his head. On net, Ian Silvis will leave it for Carter Horwitz now. Horwitz up to John Seamer, the alternate captain, racing down the right wing. He will center it for Sumulidis. Given back to Seamer now. The AAA line is out there for Macon, along with Horwitz and Cameron, the former of whom holds it at the right point. Over to Trask above the left circle. Sumulidis parked in the high slot. John Seamer's at the goal line. Will get it from Trask, with whom he switches places. Seamer gives it over. Saucer pass lands over the tape of Cameron, back onto it from off the boards at Karams. And now Cameron will feed it to Sumulidis, rather. Cameron gets it back from him outside of the right circle. Up to the blue line for Horwitz, right point. Sends it off the half wall on the far side for Trask, who attempts a saucer pass into the slot. It's interrupted by Salkeld and cleared. In front of the Huntsville bench, it's collected by Horwitz, fed up to Cameron. He will spring one into the slot. Ronsberg driving, dropping it back to Seamer, who dipsy doodles away from Cy Nukovic. The Havoc trying to clear it. It's loose in the slot, rolls up, and it's been cleared past the blue line just barely. Whacked free by Minerva, but the Mayhem now on a delayed offside. 38 seconds remain on this Mayhem power play, brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe. Hoping to avoid dropping to 0 for 2 on the night. Minerva is forced out from behind his own net by Tyler Piacentini, who drew a shorthanded penalty yesterday. And he's really giving Minerva a hard time on this zone exit. Minerva manages to get it to Seamer, but not before losing 20 seconds of his power play. And now it's sent behind the net by Josh Keplinger. Wired around the boards off of Jimmy Soper's stick. It deflects. It's left off by Ian Silvis. Cleared up the wing by Seamer right to Ronsberg. He will try to drop it to Soper. Soper puts it back down the boards. The Havoc have cleared it. They've returned to full strength. Josh Bowe's been let out of the box, and play will resume. The Mayhem dropping to 0 for 2 on the Wild Wing Cafe power play this evening. We get a whistle, I believe an offside is called against the Mayhem. 7:40 to play in the second period. 2-1 Mayhem is your score. Let's take a quick look around the SPHL for some out-of-town scoreboard updates. Quad City by a 7-6 final, which is great news for the Mayhem, who now have, if the score holds, will pass the marksmen for 5th place in the standings. The Birmingham Bulls lead 1-0 over Peoria. Neutral news, I would say, for both teams. The Knoxville Ice Bears in Pensacola tonight, no score halfway through the first. And late in the first, Evansville hosting Roanoke, no score in that tilt either. Huntsville winning the neutral zone face-off from in front of the Macon bench. Pat Condon's got it on his stick. He will send it up to Sinukovic, who redirects it into the Macon zone. Jarrett Cupp has it on his stick. He will fling one down the ice, hoping to give Alexander Tallene a breakaway. It was intercepted. Hand pass is called against the Havoc, so the face-off will stay in the neutral zone here. I believe that was Nolan Kaiser guilty of that hand pass. Nolan Kaiser, a University of Alaska Fairbanks grad. He's a 4th-year Havoc defenseman. Got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on Friday last week and fought against Birmingham on Saturday. Coming into this weekend, he had 13 penalty minutes in his previous 2 games, but he's managed to stay pretty well disciplined this weekend. Here's Pat Condon from the left point. He head fakes and slaps it D-to-D over to Kaiser, who risks a shot through traffic, seen and stopped by Silvas at the last second. Nukovic twists it down to Shivo, who accelerates it further. And from the near corner, it's worked up to Tallene, who augments one up to Sean Lynch. Lynch tries to get in on Kaiser, lifts his stick, springs the puck free, wins possession, and tries to drop it back to Soper. Soper's well covered. A 2-on-2 battle for possession taking place in the far corner. Tallene gets it. He delays, tries to pass it out in front. It lands on Minerva's stick. His shot is denied by Milasek, who was all out of sorts, but made the save nevertheless. Smith able to defend the oncoming rush by Tyler Piacentini, who tried to go 1-against-2. Puck pops into the corner on the near side. Minerva will wheel it up to Caleb Cameron, who chips it past Derek Pearl. Pearl up to Derar now. Huntsville the other way. Rahoriak driving down the left side. He cuts to the net, is knocked off the puck by Silvas. Turnaround shot stopped by Silvas. Loose on the doorstep and hoisted up in the air. It lands in the stands. That's going to be a penalty against Macon for a delay of game. That puck landed in the bottom of section 120, and the Havoc will be going back to the power play. Jake Trask, the culprit of that delay of game penalty. That flying puck brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair, but the Mayhem will be going back to the J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning penalty kill for the 2nd time tonight. Both teams perfect on the PK thus far. 6:09 yet to play in period 2. The Mayhem protecting a delicate 1-goal advantage over the Huntsville Havoc. President's Cup champions from each of the past 2 seasons, vying for positioning in the SPHL standings. Both of these teams have clinched a spot. Now it's just a matter of which seed they will be in the 2019 President's Cup postseason. Derek Pearl steps all the way down into the right corner to win the puck for Huntsville. Caleb Cameron chisels it past Anthony Calabrese, and it's recovered in the neutral zone by John Shivo. Pearl now scored a power play goal 1 week ago. Is out there again on the man advantage. This is Huntsville's 2nd power play unit, but almost just as lethal as its first. Shivo over the blue line, down the right wing side. He's watched by Jarrett Cupp. Shivo coughs it up to Carter Horwitz, who's got some time here on the PK. He will race down the left wing, wait, kill off a few more seconds before clearing it into the zone. It's given from Milasek to Anthony Calabrese. 24 games out in Germany this season, number 96 in white. He leaves it for Sinukovic. The team's leader in assists, 2nd in the SPHL behind only Peoria's Ben Blasco. He will drop it back to Rob Derar, returns it for Nukovic, who rims it into the zone. Larry Smith is first to it in the corner on the far side. And Salkeld shoveling one along the half wall near the corner. Stephen Rahoriak sized up by Smith. Rahoriak brought down by Smith. The clearing attempt is blocked, however, by Kaiser. That to Derar, right circle. Rob Derar sends it over. Great pass to Nukovic. It lands on his tape in the near corner. Sinukovic up to the blue line. Nolan Kaiser. Derar fires a one-timer. Stick save by Silvas. Larry Smith is knocked off of it by Stephen Rahoriak. Kaiser receives it, right point. To the top of the left circle for Sinukovic. Looks for a passing option, decides to shoot it. Silvas was square to the angle, made the stop with his pads. Derar puts it back behind the net. Nukovic chips it out to the front. Wheeled around back towards the right point. Derar holds it in the zone. Time has expired. Jake Trask is let out of the sin bin. The Mayhem have returned to full strength, 2 for 2 on the PK tonight. Nukovic receives it behind the net. The Mayhem are exhausted, however. They've been out there for a while. Kaiser flutters the pass over to Derar, who shovels it in behind the goal line. Larry Smith is surrounded on both sides. And finally, the Mayhem have cleared the danger. A nice deke move made by Sean Lynch before he clears it on net and will scurry to the Macon bench to complete a line change. The pass out to center deflects off the sideboards in front of the Huntsville bench. Josh Keplinger commences the counterattack. Here's a shot by Caesar that flies out of play. It was blocked by Huntsville's stick. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. 3.5 to play here in period 2. The Mayhem with a 2-1 lead, courtesy of Jake Trask's goal on that 2-on-1 rush, which he was fed by Stathis Soumalides to give Macon its first lead on the weekend. We're going to take a quick pause on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Again, 3.5 to play in the second. 2-1 Macon is your score.
Need to raise some money for your organization? Contact the Mayhem front office and we'll be happy to partner up with your group to help you fundraise for a cause. You buy tickets from us at $10, you sell them for $15, and then you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whatever cause you like. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to set up a fundraiser for your organization today.
The military weekend t-shirts are courtesy of the Apparel Authority. Visit their website at apparelauthority.com.
So the Mayhem will get an offensive zone face-off out of this. Danny Caesar will take it with Seamer flanking him on his right and Keplinger in the shooting hole. Caesar was trying to give Keplinger a shot right off the draw, but Huntsville won the face-off. They've cleared it down the length. No icing as Fiala gets there first. Sends it around the glass. 3-on-1 develops for the Mayhem. Caesar on the right wing. Seamer gives it over. Keplinger shoots. Sprawling save. Brilliant acrobatic stop made by Max Milasek to rob Josh Keplinger on that 3-on-1. The score remains 2-1 in favor of Macon. It's dropped off by Danny Caesar for Seamer, who will try to chip one down to Keplinger. The Havoc have escaped with the puck. It's Dion feeding one ahead. Redirects into the zone off the blade of Josh Bose. Bose will take Larry Smith into the end boards, rather Jarrett Cup into the end boards, and now Gerling fights for it with Jake Fiala. Gerling kicks it along. Danny Caesar is there to pick it up. He will leave it now. Jarrett Cup has cleared it up to Seamer on the right wing side. In across the blue line, left it for Caesar. He delays. He sends it wide to the left post, hoping for a redirect from Keplinger. Didn't get it. John Seamer. Now it's Sinukovic. Weaves through center ice from the left wing. He will punch one behind the Macon goal line. Tyler Piacentini wraps up with Seth Ronsberg. The Mayhem have hoisted it all the way out, courtesy of Danny Caesar. It lands off the back of Josh Keplinger, who locates it and swats it into Huntsville territory. 2 minutes remain in the second period. 2-1 Macon. Would be 3-1 were it not for that unbelievable save by Max Milasek. The Mayhem, or rather the Havoc, have just been found guilty of a Tropical Smoothie Cafe icing. Might have been the first full-on windmill save that I've seen all season. Heck, that might have been the best save I've seen all season. It was a well-executed play by Macon. They really couldn't have done anything better. 3-on-1, they utilized every player on it. They gave Josh Keplinger a natural goal scorer, a great opportunity from point-blank range, and Milasek somehow read it. Not only read it, but was athletic enough to make the stop. Soumalides kicks it up to his stick from the corner on the near side. Doesn't see a passing option he likes, so he'll just hold on to it for the time being. Shoulder shimmies away from Brandrup, sends it at the net, stick save by Milasek. Bounces into the near corner again. Caleb Cameron is there, and the RIT grad will feed it behind the net for Jake Trask. It's Soumalides again. Working his way towards the far half wall, protecting the puck still. Jake Trask in the far corner. Held up by Derek Pearl. Cameron swoops in, scoops up the puck. He will feed it to the line. Larry Smith tees it up and fires. Max Milasek with the long save through traffic. Good job by Larry Smith to get that shot through. There was a lot of traffic there, and he used his hockey IQ to take sort of a half slap shot in that situation. And Larry Smith, the Buffalo native, ex-Sioux City Musketeer, one of the last cuts from the USNTDP, the National Team Development Program in the USHL. Kept his head up, went and played a season out in Sioux City, and got a scholarship to play at Niagara University, where he graduated from last year. Here's a chance for Trask, who fires. Glove save. Cameron searching for the rebound. It rolls back up to Fiala now. The shot attempt is blocked by Rahoriak. Nolan Kaiser from the far corner will just whip one down, angling it off the boards, and no icing will be called here as Fiala had the opportunity to cut it off, which he did. Now it's Cup rimming one around towards Keplinger. Josh Keplinger, far half wall. Floats one up to Fiala on his right. Fiala chips it past Condon. Rahoriak leaves it back to Nolan Kaiser. The Havoc escape with possession as it's brought down the right side by Ryan Salkeld. Salkeld goes in after it against Jarrett Cup. He takes him into the end wall. Cup trying to soccer it along. It slides up into the circle. Keplinger is there. Half minute to go in the second period. 2-1 Macon remains your score. Jarrett Cup recovering it again after Huntsville just dumped it in. Last line change of the period is underway for the visitors at the moment. Here's Seamer swooping around a couple of checks. He will drive with tons of speed. He slips it into the slot. Keplinger is held up. Couldn't get much of a shot off. Seamer back to the blue line for Larry Smith. 9 seconds. Smith's shot is blocked. Lots of traffic standing in front of Max Millisek. Smith again will angle it in front of the Huntsville bench. Seamer with one last chance has just run out of time. And that'll do it for period 2. What a weekend John Seamer's had, folks. He has brought Danny Caesar aboard on his line and welcomed him with open arms. Gotten him feeling good, right in the mix. They've seemingly established some pretty darn good chemistry really quick. And last night, their left wing partner was Derek Sutliff. Sutliff, for the first time all season, has been scratched tonight. It wasn't really anything that he did to earn that scratch. It was just a matter of giving some other guys some ice time. Sutliff has played in every single game this season up until this point, and has been a very good goal scorer, the second best goal scorer the Mayhem have had this season with 18 through 49 games played. And it took 50 games for Leo Thomas to finally give him a rest. So he's been terrific, and Josh Keplinger has been his replacement on that line with Danny Caesar and John Seamer. And he and Jake Trask have had the 2 best opportunities to score in this game, the 2 best opportunities that weren't goals. And Trask had a point-blank chance on the right side. Millisek robbed him early in the second period with a left pad save to keep the score tied. Trask would redeem himself later with a backhand goal on a 2-on-1, which he was set up by Stathis Sumalitis. And then and Josh Keplinger on a 3-on-1. Seamer and Caesar both would have had the assist had Keplinger finished it off. And I'm sure if I were to ask him about it, he would probably tell me he did what he wanted to do, and Keplinger just released it. He released it quickly. He released it accurately. He did everything right, but Millisek just was better. He just robbed him with a windmill save. One of the best, if not the best, save I've seen all season, folks. I mean, Ian Silvis in his Mayhem debut, the best save he's made all season probably in his first game with the Mayhem. Just an incredible acrobatic stop against the Birmingham Bulls. That was certainly up there, but I don't know. That was a full-on windmill save on that 3-on-1 by Max Millisek. I don't remember if it was his right pad or his left pad that got it, but I think it was his left pad probably, but just an unbelievable stop on Josh Keplinger, who's got to be a little bit frustrated with the outcome of that. That goal would have given the Mayhem a much-needed insurance lead. Instead, they continue to protect a very delicate 1-goal edge. 2-1 your score in favor of Macon through 2 periods of play. Jake Trask with both of the Mayhem's goals. Stephen Rahoriak with Huntsville's lone tally. We hope you've enjoyed the broadcast up till this point, folks. To fans on both sides of the air, whether you're a Huntsville fan or a Macon fan, we're glad you decided to join us on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. By the way, shout out to Beth Roach, who's watching Sean Lynch make his professional debut this weekend from Mobile, Alabama. been following him since he began college when she lived in Utica, New York. Thank you, Beth. We really appreciate your comment on our YouTube broadcast. Anyone else who would like a shout-out, don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. Just let us know where you're tuned in from. Let us know who you are, and we'd be happy to give you a shout-out before this game comes to an end. By the way, we've got another fan tuned in from Huntsville tonight, Maddie Hooks, who says, good luck to both teams. They both deserve the W. Not too many neutral fans in the arena tonight, Maddie, I can tell you that much, but all the same, we appreciate you supporting us on YouTube this evening. So again, folks, 2-1 your score through the first 40 minutes of play. Let's take a look around the SPHL for a Hampton Inn and Suites out-of-town scoreboard update before we get to the intermission interview with Mayhem forward number 18, Sean Lynch, one of the newest additions to the organization, who made his pro debut last night. Birmingham leading Peoria 1-0 at the first intermission of play. 7-6 the final in Fayetteville tonight. The Quad City Storm barely hanging on in that barn burner at the Crown Coliseum, securing the road victory and giving the Mayhem some hope that they can pass the Marksmen just like the Marksmen did to them yesterday in the standings. If the Mayhem win tonight, they will attain sole possession of 5th place in the SPHL. Depending on what happens between Knoxville and Pensacola, they may draw to within 2 points of 4th place, which would be huge news for them. Right now, Knoxville is in Pensacola. It's a 1-1 score through the first period of play. The Ice Bears and the Ice Flyers, both with some pretty important games on the line this weekend. The Flyers held on for what I believe was their 5th straight win. They've been on a tear lately. It's a team that, even though they're the 8th seed, I don't think anyone wants to pick them. As a matter of fact, folks, if they win tonight and Roanoke loses, the Ice Flyers will jump up to the 9th, or rather the 7th seed. I haven't seen them anywhere outside of the 8th seed as long as I can remember, but they might pass Roanoke tonight depending on what happens. The Rail Yard Dogs are in Evansville through a period of play. No score in that contest just yet. We'll be sure to keep you folks tuned in as updated as possible on the games that are taking place all around the SPHL tonight, as now is the fun time of the year when playoff pictures and brackets and predictions start to form. So we'll all be obviously keeping very close tabs on what happens throughout the night elsewhere. But in the meantime, we're going to step aside here from the Macon Centreplex. Folks, I know you've been wanting to hear this for a while. We've got a lot of Sean Lynch fans tuned in out there, it seems like. So his interview coming your way next, folks, on SPHL Live and on YouTube. We're going to step aside on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. We'll be back shortly, folks.
All right, welcome back, folks, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on SPHL Live, powered by Newline, and on YouTube. I had the chance to catch up with one of the newest additions to the Macon Mayhem, number 18 forward Sean Lynch, who debuted for the Mayhem yesterday. Sean, first off, really appreciate your time, and thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, Sean, how did it feel to get your first pro game under your belt last night?
It was an awesome experience. Got down here on Monday, had a good week of practice. I came out with a little bit of nerves, obviously, first penalty, first shift, but I think I settled in as the game went on. It was a great game.
Yeah, and that I do remember that play. It was like 2.5 minutes into the game, just chipped it over the glass, ended up being delay of game. I was curious because I'm not 100% sure, but at the college level, is it a penalty if you do that, or is it the same as it is here?
No, that's the difference here. So I wasn't really sure. It went over, and I kind of thought to myself, I was like, I think it's a penalty in pro hockey. So I kind of sauntered over to the box, and the ref was like, yep, that's 2 minutes. I was like, oh, God, tough start, but, a learning experience for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to disclose a not-so-humble opinion of mine real quick, folks, but at the NHL level, that is a penalty as well, and I'm not 100% sure on that one. A lot of folks think that it should just be the same penalty as icing, where you take a defensive zone face-off after it happens. I kind of agree with that, but that is the rule, and now you know that's the good news, and it didn't end up costing us, more importantly. So you had a decent amount of ice time yesterday, I thought, Sean. I think all the penalties the team took certainly helped give you a little bit more of a chance to establish yourself and prove, show what you're made of. You were relied upon in some key situations. You got a lot of time on the penalty kill. What were some of the things that you learned and took away from your first pro game yesterday?
Just kind of keeping things simple. Don't overcomplicate things. I know I was one of the key guys on the PK in the college level, and I learned a lot through Coach Heenan at Utica and kind of took that into this game here. And Ryan and Michael's been helping me a lot, just getting me ready for in the systems aspect of things. But just getting my feet wet in those key situations really is going to help me moving forward.
Yeah, so you mentioned Coach Michael, the Mayhem's assistant coach and a former player and President's Cup champion here in Macon. He's your cousin, as I found out on Thursday night. Did that have any factor and pull any weight in terms of bringing you down to Macon?
Yeah, definitely did. I talked to a couple teams in this league. Roanoke had showed me some interest, and I was kind of settled on that because I hadn't really spoken with Ryan much in the last week or so. Then he finally called me and said, if you want the spot, we're going to give you a shot. And I was like, just thinking to myself, I was like, it's going to be awesome to go down to Georgia and play for my cousin. So I obviously was chomping at the bit to get down here.
Yeah, that's right. So is it you guys, your dads are brothers, your moms are sisters? How does it work?
My dad and his mother are brother and sister. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So I don't know what the exact phraseology is, if it's fraternal cousins or maternal cousins or what have you, but still, that's interesting, and it's a great little story. I think we're going to key on it a little bit tonight and going forward. So, Sean, like you said earlier, you had the chance to practice with the team this week. You've had the chance to get settled a little bit in Macon. You've been here about a week. You've got your first game under your belt. You've seen the city a little bit. What have been just some of your impressions and experiences and differences between the pro scene and the college scene that have stuck out to you?
Just kind of the whole lifestyle is a lot different for sure. You come to the rink 9 o'clock, you're done by 11:30 for the rest of the day. You just got a lot of time to yourself. It's been a good change of pace for me. The guys have been great, helping me out, just settling me down, whether it's here at the rink or at the apartments. So, it's been a great new experience for me for sure.
Absolutely, and I'm going to have one last question here for you, Sean, and I'll let you get going. It'll be a great atmosphere tonight. We've got 150 airmen coming in from the base. We had the soldiers rappelling from the rafters yesterday, which, by the way, I asked Carter about that. I think I'll have to ask you as well. What were some of your thoughts as you were seeing that take place right in front of your eyes when you were on the bench before the game last night?
Honestly, it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever got to witness, just standing probably 15 feet from a bunch of soldiers rappelling from the ceiling is pretty awesome. It wasn't a huge crowd, but it was a loud crowd, so they really got the place going. And I think it's just a great weekend, just showing appreciation for the military and everything they do for us.
Absolutely. Well, we've got our second game, series finale tonight. We'll be wearing these jerseys again. They'll be sold off, by the way, in a live auction after tonight's game is over. Have any predictions as to what your jersey might sell for tonight?
I'm sure not a whole lot. I'm one of the new guys, but if anybody's going to bid on me, it'd be pretty cool. So.
Well, good news for you. I don't think we've ever had a jersey go for less than $250. So you'll at least help raise some money for the team. And Sean, I really appreciate your time and good luck out there tonight.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's Sean Lynch, number 18, one of the newest additions to the Macon Mayhem. Debuted last night. We'll get his second game under his belt tonight. This has been your second intermission report. We'll be back in just a moment with your out-of-town scoreboard update brought to you by Hampton Inn and so much more right after this.
When am I going to show you who the third assistant is, or when is Sue?
If you were to return tomorrow, sorry for making you work out here, Sean.
Is there any specific reason why nobody has a seat?
That's a good question too. Not like really a specific reason. I just, a captain's got to do a lot of responsibilities. There's a lot of stuff away from the ring. There's a lot of stuff while you're playing kind of thing. And, over the last couple of years, you guys have seen the captains we've had. They've been guys that have played, numerous pro years and stuff like that. So coming into this year, I know, I think I answered this a couple weeks ago. I figured I'd have a captain by now maybe, but it just hasn't worked out that way. But I'm still, happy with our leadership group. That doesn't mean I don't have a captain in the room. I got plenty of guys who step up and lead the team. So I just know when I have that feeling of who it should be, then they'll get to see.
Thank you. We don't have the budget for a wireless mic just yet. We'll get there.
I was wondering if Coach could talk to us a little bit about Clutch's suspension last week, because some of us were kind of wondering how that happened.
Yeah, that was a weird one. You know, watching video and watching him take a punch first, and then all he did was kind of defend himself. And you know, for him to get one game and the other kid not to get one, it is what it is. It was out of my control. I said my piece with the league and told them what I thought and what I thought was fair or what it should have been fair. But I'm happy that it was only one game. He's already sat his game, and it wasn't multiple games. So, but yeah, I mean, it was something that happened quick, and I'm glad that it was only one game, and we got him back for this weekend.
To build off of that a little bit, going from Friday's very active game
Right.
to Saturday, can you tell us a little bit of sort of what you said to the guys to get them ready before
Saturdays, yeah. It was, you know, I went in there, just tried to tell them what happened the night before happened. I'm glad that you guys stuck together. That meant everything, and I think it was good for our whole team in our room. I'm glad that you guys stuck up for each other and didn't back down. But Saturday was more of, we just need to come out, play a hard game. Let's not worry about the refs. Let's not worry about no calls. Let's play a good full 60 minutes and get these 2 points and enjoy the days off. And that's exactly what they did. I think that was probably the best game we've played in a long time. So, or if not the whole season. So the guys responded well, and we did what we needed to do and get those points.
I have a question then for Larry. So I'm also from Buffalo, and looking at your hockey DB a little bit, you played mostly in that region, a little bit in Canada and stuff. And then you came to Pensacola for a little bit. You were here for a little bit last season and did make the playoff roster. And now you're arguably one of the most valuable defensemen to this team, if not in the league. You were an SPHL All-Star. Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you.
So I have two parts to this. First, what is it like going from a city in Buffalo to here? Because having now lived in both, I can say the cultures are very different.
Yeah.
And what happened kind of over that summer of going from not making the playoff roster to now being an all-star? What do you think helped that change?
Probably just, I came here late last year, but if you kind of get released from any team, it kind of gives you like a little fire. So I definitely wanted to play here because I liked it here as soon as I got here. The weather's nice. People are very nice. Fans are awesome. It just gives you a little fire to work a little harder and make the team and show that you can play. So that's kind of what I try to focus on over the summer. And it's worked out, and I've just kind of been working on being consistent and pretty much keeping the puck out of our net. So it's my job, and that's the only thing I really care about doing on this team, and I'm just going to keep doing it. And then the second part, that was the second part, but first part, it's a lot, well, the weather for sure. Obviously, it's a lot nicer here. But the culture is, everyone's like a tight, in Buffalo, it's kind of this, it's a little the same, in some areas, some parts, but I feel like everyone here is like super close and super tight, like almost like a full family. Back at home, it's a little the same for sure, but definitely not as much as here. So.
There's a question for Coach Leo and then also Larry, since you've been with the team the whole season here. In the first half of the season where we've had enormous success and stayed in first place for a while to going through a little bit of a slump and going into the end of the season with a lot of changes and possibly the roster and the lineup and preparing for the finals, how have you adjusted your strategy or just your mental game for the course of the season?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of ups and downs, obviously, during the season, and you're expected of that. A lot of things happen, call-ups, injuries. So the mentality now is we've gotten through that little rough patch, and we started March off pretty well, like I've been telling the guys, and it's just all about maintaining that and just taking each day at a time and getting better every day from now on. And hopefully you stay healthy. You know, you also got players coming out of college if you need to add a few things, and you know, that's a part of my job that gets tough. Obviously, if a guy's been here all year and you know, you get a kid in from college or something who can help, you know, off the bat, or those are decisions you got to make if he's gonna push you over that edge in playoffs and stuff like that. So, but for right now, I think mentally and as a team, we're in a good spot. You know, we're making playoffs. It's just all about being consistent now, leading into playoffs and going with a lot of momentum and doing things the right way.
Okay, well, welcome back, everybody. So we're sorry for that pretty long delay, but we hope you enjoyed the interview with Mayhem's newest forward, Sean Lynch, who gave us a nice interview before the game started, and then another little piece of our line change show from last week. We're almost ready to roll for period 3. The Mayhem, the Havoc, squaring off for the last time, the 7th and final time this regular season. The Havoc have won the best-of-7 series, but the Mayhem can make it as close as possible with a win tonight. They can also pass the Fayetteville Marksmen. I'm sure word has reached their ears by now that the Marksmen lost tonight, which means that if they win this period, they are back in 5th place, and they're within 2 points of the Knoxville Ice Bears, now, at least for a little bit. Right now, the Ice Bears, the Ice Flyers, tied in a 1-1 stalemate down in Pensacola this evening. So we talked in the pregame show a little bit about Macon's recent third-period struggles. It has been their best period all season long, but recently that's not been the case at all. Over the course of the last week, the Mayhem have been outscored 8-0 in the third period. So that's been an Achilles heel for the team, which has otherwise been a strong point for the team all season, has suddenly turned around in very short order. We'll see what the Mayhem can do in period 3 tonight, and we're back underway. They'll start with discipline. Last night there were 55 penalty minutes taken between both teams in the final 20 minutes of play. Steven Horiak looked like clearly had won the race for icing, but Tropical Smoothie Cafe icing is called regardless, and Ryan Salkeld gives the linesman Sean DeLoey a piece of his mind. And so does Anthony Calabrese. Well, I'm going to be honest, folks, I'm not sure how that was an icing call, and Huntsville certainly agrees. It looks like Rahoriak clearly had the step. It's one of the issues with the no-touch icing policy. So the Mayhem catch a break with that icing call. We'll see if they can take advantage of it. Seamer from the far corner is defended by Peter Sakalis. Seamer will tap it back to the blue line. Jake Fayela's snapshot is blocked. Sent back into the slot, and the puck's been cleared out to the neutral zone. Jarrett Cup finding Seamer, and he quickly marches right back in. He is closed off, however, by Peter Sakalis. It's rimmed off the glass, bounces to Ryan Salkeld, who will slip one through for Rob Derar. He gave it away to Jarrett Cup. Cup finds Caesar. Caesar finds Seamer in the slot. Can't quite pull the trigger, but he drops it off. Keplinger turns and shoots. Pad save. Cleared out to Horwitz. He fires. Glove save Millisek. And it trickles wide of the net. Back up the wall. It sent Salkeld. He's able to clear it just barely over the blue line past Jarrett Cup, and Salkeld will finish what he started and pop into the right corner for the first time in this period. He's able to get a line change. Carter Horwitz's pass deflects high off a stick, glove down at center ice by Nukovic and swatted back into the Macon zone. Seth Ronsberg from his own goal line sends it off the stick of Jake Trask, and now it's Derek Pearl. Looked like he threw it off the linesman. Piacentini receives the horizontal pass and will rim it into the Macon zone. Twisted out to center. Good hard backhand clear there by Caleb Cameron. And now it's Sumalita stepping into the right circle and firing. It was denied by Max Millisek. Jake Trask fights for it at the goal line now. Tyler Piacentini backhands a pass up to Sinukovic. Nukovic floats one ahead, hoping to return it for Piacentini on the give and go, but it was too far outside of his reach. Horwitz wedges one along. Kaiser holds it in the zone. Will rim one back behind the cage. Ronsberg's got it. He sends a pass outside of Trask's range. Trask will just turn to the Macon bench to complete a line change here. Pat Condon slips away from Soper. Condon hammers it back around the wall. Josh Bose seals it right half wall. Gave it away to Stathis Soumalides. Calling for it was Tallene. Stathis didn't see a lane to him. Soumalides carries into the slot and fires a backhander on goal. Max Milasek makes the save. Stathis Soumalides wins possession of the puck and feeds it back to the line. A shot from Larry Smith is off the mark. The Havoc have managed to work it out past the blue line. Nick Minerva intercepting it in the neutral zone. He couldn't hammer it back into the Huntsville end, however, and Lynch will get a chance to clear it. He gets it up to Tallene. Now up to Soper. Soper motoring in down the slot, trying to find a loose puck in between the skates of Calabrese that eventually was hacked wide of the cage, and now it's Josh Bose, the Endicott College product, slipping away from Alexander Tallene and motoring down the left wing. He sends it between a couple of teammates, and we'll get it behind the goal line. Josh Bose working one against one in the corner now against Larry Smith. Turned over in the deep slot. A howitzer of a slap shot by Ryan Salkeld is fought off by his former teammate Ian Silvis with the glove. 16:36 to play in the third period. 2-1 Macon is your score. Rob Derar will line up in the right circle against John Siemer in the face-off. Sean Deloy to drop the puck. Keplinger ends up with it and will get it up to Jarrett Cup. He sustains a big hit by Peter Sakalis. No penalty. Cup thought he was hit up high. Not the case. Calabrese sustains a check as well. Will run after it himself and will slide it into the middle of the ice for Ryan Salkeld. Caesar kicks it to his stick, has to turn with it. Derar trying to force a turnover. Caesar recovered to jar it loose, and Fiala will bounce one out into the neutral zone. Derek Pearl rattles it into the Macon end. It's halted by Silvis behind his net. Jarrett Cupp's backhand pass is a nice one. It lands on the tape of Caesar, who's got Keplinger and Siemer on his left. Caesar into the slot for Keplinger, batted away by Alec Brandrup, who played that perfectly from a defensive standpoint. And Carter Horwitz will fire it into the zone from center ice before heading to the Macon bench for a line changer. A lot of his teammates did, rather, but he stayed out there. Good turnover forced by Trask. He sent it for Soumalides, who whiffs on the shot. And that duo nearly with its third goal on the night. The Havoc have just cleared it down the length. An icing call is made against the Havoc. 15:27 to go in the third period. Still 2-1 in favor of Macon. It's been that way since 7 minutes into the second period. Jake Trask finished off a 2-on-1 play with Stathis to give Macon its first lead of the weekend. The Havoc winning the defensive zone draw, courtesy of Cy Nukovic, getting the better of Caleb Cameron in that opportunity. Horwitz spears one up. Soumalides slides it along the red line, and now Cameron is met by Piacentini. The Havoc have just cleared it in. Horwitz. Soumalides. He reverses it off the wall. It's picked off at the red line by John Shibo. Piacentini sends it over nicely. Nukovic has it from the corner, sends it at the net, stopped by Silvis, and fed up to Stathis Soumalides. Soumalides just chops it into the Huntsville end and goes in after it himself. He rides Alec Brandrup into the end boards. Jimmy Soper is down there helping him out. Piacentini is able to work it up to Alec Brandrup. Brandrup's clearing attempt is blocked by Tallene. Now it's Josh Bose. He floats one up ice. Minerva played it nicely defensively to prevent a potential breakaway from transpiring from Trevor Gerling. Dale Dion will float one into Macon territory. Larry Smith goes in after it to meet Dion in the corner. Bose is closed off by Nick Minerva, who gave him a healthy ride into the end boards. Sean Lynch, checked by Dion, stays on his skates. Lynch fights for it against Gerling. sprung free out to the neutral zone in front of the penalty boxes, and it's floated across the ice. And an 85-foot wide pass over to the Macon bench. Tallene scooping it up there and dumping it into the left corner. A whistle and a stoppage of play, and I'm not sure why. But we'll head to our first immediate timeout of period 3. 13:49 to go in the third period. 2-1 Macon is your score. We'll be right back, folks.
Next season, the Mayhem are offering the most inclusive and rewarding ticket package in team history. These perks extend over all 28 home games at the Macon Centreplex. Your season ticket package gets you 2 buddy passes to any of the 28 home games, a 32-ounce Mayhem souvenir cup with $3 refills, a discounted season-long parking pass with access to VIP parking, 10% savings at the Mac Shack, a Mayhem lanyard, early access to the arena before games, VIP entrance to the arena, 3 exclusive team gifts, talk with the coach before the games, and much more. Head to MaconMayhem.com to check out how you can secure your spot for the 2018-2019 season of Mayhem hockey.
Still not entirely certain what the cause of that whistle was, but play will continue in a few moments here. The Mayhem will get an offensive zone face-off out of it. John Seamer and Rob Derar will face off in the circle, the left circle in the Huntsville zone. John Seamer's probably not gotten on the score sheet as much as he has deserved to this weekend. Played an incredibly hard game yesterday, and tonight has been working just as hard, if not harder. He definitely should have gotten at least an assist on Josh Keplinger's opportunity. That was robbed by a windmill save made by Max Millisek. But still, Seamer has been incredible of late. He's got a point in 8 of his last 10 games, 5 goals, 8 assists over that span. Trails only Nukovic and Ben Blasco of Peoria in assists. He ranks 3rd in the SPHL, John Seamer does, in helpers this season. He's got 34 on the campaign through 49 games played. He's been an excellent distributor of the puck and a really good, hard-working player and leader for the Macon Mayhem. And he's not necessarily even been a natural center. He's sort of switched between center and right wing over his career, but he's just done whatever the team has needed. And this season, the team has needed some centers. He's had to step in and fill that role. And now he's got a line mate who can play both. Danny Caesar, John Seamer. I gave Coach Thomas a hard time for putting the two of them together because their names sound so similar and they kind of play a similar way. So it's a tough situation for me, but whatever works, whatever he's got to do. Puck's been cleared down the length, just wide of the net, and a clever play made by Silvas to not play that puck as it just eked past the right post. So an icing call is made against Huntsville. 13:40 to play in the second period. The Mayhem still enjoying a 2-1 advantage over the Havoc. Scores remain this way since the 7-minute mark of period 2. Seamer able to beat Derar on the face-off. Fiala sends it around the end wall counterclockwise. And Keplinger gives a nice shove to Peter Sakalis trying to win possession. He gets it from the goal line, pops it up the slot. Jarrett Cupp had to abandon his post, and Rohoriak will carry it back the other direction. He's got a lot of help coming in the form of Rob Derar and Calabrese, but Derar's shot was blocked, and Keplinger flings it back out into the neutral zone. Alec Brandrup recovering the puck and sending it back down the length. Will this be an icing call? No. Cupp will have to make a play, and Salkeld wipes out. Play continues, no penalty on either side. 4 players go scrapping for it. The scrum is equally divided. Derar kicks it to his stick, loses the puck, and Caesar backhands it out in the direction of John Seamer, who catches up with it. Seamer slips away from one, loses it to the second. Trask follows up what his fellow alternate captain started and put it across, hoping for Horwitz, not quite in his wheelhouse, and he'll be guilty of a penalty. Tough break for Carter Horwitz. He had the puck sent his way by Jake Trask and had a pretty good opportunity with nobody around him, but he was right-handed and he couldn't quite fire a one-timer off, so he had no choice but to try to kick it up to his stick and pull the trigger. And wasn't really a retaliation or an act of frustration when he tripped Huntsville's player. He just he was going for the puck and he got too much skate. which led to a trip, and Horwitz to the sin bin, the Havoc to their third power play of this game. Both teams 0 for 2 on the man advantage tonight. This Mayhem penalty kill is brought to you by J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning. Peter Sakalis rims it around the end wall. And Caleb Cameron's clearing attempt fails, but Larry Smith's does not. He gets it over the blue line. Sakalis offside. .27 to go. Huntsville with an impeccable opportunity to tie this game back up. Shots have been pretty even most of the night. They're now 20-18 in favor of the Havoc. Cameron is able to clear it as far as the red line, but no further. He gets a second chance and gets it all the way down this time. It's denied by Max Milasek, who will slide behind his own net and will leave it for Alec Brandrup. Leads all defensemen in points and assists this season, 26 and 24 respectively. Peter Sakalis, checked by Smith, sends it around the boards, and Nick Minerva tries to work it past Shivo. Now it's Brandrup from the left point. Steps into the deep slot and gets the return from Shivo. Brandrup's long shot is blocked. Larry Smith's clearing attempt also blocked. Josh Bowes reverses it into the near corner, and it bounces up to Alec Brandrup at the right point, who will send it past Stathis Sumulidis into the corner. From the right side, it's centered out in front. Here's a chance for Shivo. His shot is blocked by a sprawling Caleb Cameron. That's the kind of selfless plays the Mayhem need on their penalty kill, and I believe it was either Stathis Sumulidis or Nick Minerva clearing the puck all the way down. Gerling trying to catch the Mayhem in the midst of this line change. He will feed it back to the lines, and Sign Nukovic, Huntsville's top distributor of the puck, has it, far corner. Sends it across the ice. It caroms off the near corner boards. Rob Derar's got it. Right circle up to the top for Kaiser. It's switched this way for Derar to the apex. Kaiser fakes a one-timer, gives it over to Salkeld. One-timer is on target, stopped by Ian Silvis in the butterfly. He has made the stop and has conceded no rebound. 11:05 to go in period 3. 2-1 Macon. Ian Silvis, since that blunder, 16 seconds into the game, has been flawless. He recovered in the best possible way, and that's a great sign. That's a sign of maturity. It's a sign of somebody who's focused. It's a sign of somebody who can have a short memory, and it's a sign of mental strength above everything else. Which is essential for a goaltender playing at the professional level. Soper tied up by Sign Nukovic in the face-off circle. The Havoc maintain possession in the attacking zone. Kaiser kicks it up to his stick, pulls the trigger, floats over the crossbar, but stays in play. It's delivered from Derar up to Salkeld. Derar's behind him. Salkeld left circle, drops it down to Sign Nukovic. Rahoriak's in the slot. Nukovic outer hash marks, left circle, waits, gives it over. Derar right circle, up to Kaiser, who twists it to Salkeld. Horwitz is out of the box. Salkeld's shot is blocked. Swatted behind his own net by Jarrett Cup. Derar flings it back to the point. Nobody's there. Nukovic was going back to the bench, and some miscommunication there between Huntsville's power play. The Mayhem have killed it off. They're 3 for 3 on the night on the PK. That Mayhem penalty kill is brought to you by J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning. We're approaching the midway point of period 3. 2-1 Macon remains your score. John Shivo holds it at the line. He will wire it at the net. It's blocked by the stick of Jarrett Cup, rather. He is brought down in the corner on the near side of the ice as he vies for possession and tries to clear it. He will feed it up to Josh Keplinger, who will motor down the left wing side and flop one wide of the net. Milasek tried to play it. It was just out of his stick's reach. Keplinger fighting for it, surrounded by white sweaters, twists it brilliantly to Caesar, up to Smith, who shoots. Blocker save by Max Milasek. Now it's given to Nick Minerva at the right point. He will feed one down into the adjacent corner. Caesar chasing after it. Keplinger back to Caesar at the right point. It's fed over his stick, tapped back into the zone by Larry Smith, and Keplinger will begin the forecheck. Peels off a bit. Calabrese has it behind his own cage. Anthony Calabrese, his pass reaches Sign Nukovic, who enters the zone on the right side. He slips one through. Good defending by Ronsberg. Had the stick of Dale Dion tied up all the while. Josh Keplinger couldn't squeak one past the blue line, or he would have had a 2-on-1 with Seamer. Seamer plays it all the same. Backhands a pass outside of Caesar's reach. Sumulidis with 9 minutes remaining in the third period. The next whistle that blows will constitute a media timeout. Sumilides up to Trask. He will chip one off the glass into the corner. It's sent. Sakalis rims one around to the far half boards. Derar hoists one high in the air. Lands near the Mayhem logo at center. Pried off the stick of Ronsberg by Trevor Gerling. Ronsberg recovers. Will feed a pass to Horwitz, who alertly sends it out of the zone and out of danger. Rahoriak up to Sakalis. He deposits it into the Macon zone. Ronsberg receives it from Silvis behind his own net. Ronsberg will backhand a pass to Carter Horwitz on his right. Horwitz down the right half wall. Will spring a pass ahead for Jake Trask. He's got Lynch. He feeds a pass to Lynch, who is well covered. It's been whacked off his stick back out into the neutral zone. Jake Fiala hammers it back in. Kaiser off the carom, inside of his own trapezoid. Sean Lynch passes through. Kaiser begins the breakout. Nolan Kaiser, University of Alaska Fairbanks product. Rims one into the Macon zone counterclockwise. It's hoisted back down the ice by Jake Fiala. Icing will be the call against the Mayhem. Fortunately for them, they'll get a chance to take a breather. Nevertheless, as we'll head to our second media timeout of this third period. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. 2-1 Macon your score with 7:48 remaining in the third.
This season, the Mayhem are offering a great group package. Whether you're a school, a church, a company, or just a group of friends, give the Mayhem office a call and we'll set you up with an incredible group deal. From $13 tickets to free team hats to a unique experience upgrade of your choosing, the Mayhem have got you and your group covered. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to purchase your group tickets to a Mayhem game today.
While we've got a second here, I'd like to give a shout out to Susan and Miguel Duran watching Ryan Salkeld and the Huntsville Havoc from Chesapeake, Virginia. Thank you very much to Susan and Miguel. We appreciate your support. The Mayhem will be tasked with a defensive zone face-off following that icing call. Condon will send it to Nolan Kaiser, his fellow defenseman, whose shot redirects, I believe, off of Fiala's stick, well wide of the net. Chiseled back up the boards and cleared by Alexander Tallien. The lone defenseman back is alternate captain Nolan Kaiser, who gave it away to Sean Lynch. He is checked hard by Kaiser, but Lynch got rid of it in time. Condon is under duress. He is slammed into the end wall by Alexander Tallien, losing his stick in the process. That big body check's been brought to you by Harrison's Body Shop Collision and Repair. And now Nolan Kaiser will fake out the forechecking Tallien and begin the breakout for Huntsville. He feeds Nukovic the pass on the right wing side. Very dangerous. One of the best passers in the SPHL. He's battling for it. He's dispossessed by Tallien from behind the Macon cage. Tallien sends it off of Stanchion, and now entering the zone will be Tyler Piacentini, who escapes a check from Smith. He drives and shoots, fought off by Silvis, who had the angle covered well. Calabrese, a risky pinch, but it pays off for Huntsville. Here's a chance. Schiavo is denied by Ian Silvis. Point-blank stop on the ex-roller hockey star. Now Piacentini's shot from a pretty sharp angle is denied by Silvis as well. Schiavo centers it through Piacentini, back to the line. Calabrese tees it up and fires through lots of traffic, blocked by some of it. Piacentini is sent to the ice after blocking his own teammate's shot, and will stay out there, however, hoping for a long pass from the defensive zone. He inadvertently redirects it into the Macon bench, and we get a whistle stopping play. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. A shout out to Timothy Hunt, who's also tuned in. He's listening from St. George Island in Florida on vacation. Thank you very much to Timothy. Sakalis hit hard in between both Caesar and Seamer. He's in a Seamer-Caesar sandwich. That sounds like an actual thing. Carter Horwitz has just cleared it down all the way past the opposing goal line. Just shy enough to where it wouldn't be an icing. The Havoc in transition. Gerling in across the blue line on the right wing. Going wide on Fiala and shooting from a near impossible angle. It stays in the zone as it rimmed back to the point. Derek Pearl slips away from Caesar. We get a whistle here. And the net's come off its pegs. I believe that's what instituted the whistle. 5:44 to play. Time dwindling on Huntsville's opportunity to tie this game. Unfamiliar spot for them to be in, not just this weekend. This is the only time they've led all weekend, or trailed rather all weekend, but in general, folks, the Havoc just not a team that trails very often for very long. They're the highest scoring team in the league. They average 3.62 goals per game. However, Macon, one of the best in the business at keeping the puck out of their own net, allowing just 2.78 goals per game. Knoxville-Pensacola game remains 1-1. That's the other one the Mayhem and their fans will be watching very closely this evening. Alec Brandrup sends it away from the ever-dangerous Jake Trask. Larry Smith from his own zone. Gave it over to Nick Minerva. Out past Trask. Icing will be the call against Macon. This icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. 5.5 to play in period 3. We're starting to get close to that time where we will have to keep our eye out for Max Milasek. Probably won't be for another few minutes or so. But you never know. Some coaches are more aggressive than others. And I don't think we have seen a time all season in which Glenn Tullio's done that against Macon. Maybe that one time back in November. Derek Pearl carries all the way behind the Mayhem net, defended by Jake Trask. Trask swats it up the boards. It's kept in the zone by Rob Derar, whose shot was blocked. A lot of black sweaters between him and Ian Silvis. Trask couldn't quite steal it from Ryan Salkeld, who gets it barely across the Macon blue line. Sumalitas floats one over Trask's stick. Derek Pearl has cleared it past Trask. Derar's pass bounces off the sideboards, and here comes Rahoriak. His shot is denied by Silvis. Second shot sent wide of the net and cleared out of harm's way by Sumalitas. Excellent reactionary play made by Stathis, as the centering pass is intercepted by Jimmy Soper and cleared ahead by Jake Trask. Huntsville reorganizing now. Derar had his pass picked off by Stathis Sumalitas, who swivels in over the blue line. Offside is the call against him and the Mayhem. 4.5 to play in the third period. This will be our final media timeout of this hockey game. We'll be back right after this, folks.
Need to raise some money for your organization? Contact the Mayhem front office and we'll be happy to partner up with your group to help you fundraise for a cause. You buy tickets from us at $10, you sell them for $15, and then you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whatever cause you like. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to set up a fundraiser for your organization today.
Birmingham has just pulled back ahead of Peoria. They now lead 2-1 out in Birmingham, Alabama tonight. The Knoxville-Pensacola game still knotted up 1-1. Roanoke also getting the go-ahead goal over the Evansville Thunderbolts. 1-0 the score up at Ford Center in southern Indiana tonight. It's now 2-0. I just refreshed the page. The Rail Yard Dogs have added an insurance marker. And again, in case you missed it earlier, Quad City held on for a 7-6 win in that barn burner of a game up at Crown Coliseum in Fayetteville, North Carolina tonight, which is great news for the Mayhem. If they hold on to this lead, they will repass Fayetteville for 5th place in the SPHL. Pat Condon along for Kaiser from deep in his own zone. He spirits it up the adjacent wing. Jan Shivo sends it the width of the ice. Cy Nukovic rolls it off the corner boards on the far side. Jarrett Cupp springs a backhand pass along, kept in the zone nicely by Condon. Kaiser fed it over. Nukovic in tight, put it in front, redirected just wide of the net by Piacentini. He missed the net by inches, and it's carried out from in behind his own goal line by Jake Fiella. And Sean Lynch is stymied in the neutral zone. Jarrett Cupp will work it up the right wing, and Alexander Tallinn sends it wide of the net, but he had gained the red line. It would not have been icing, and as such, it's been played by Milasek, left off for Kaiser, and reversed for Anthony Calabrese. Calabrese begins the breakout. He will feed Trevor Gerling on his right. Gerling chips it off the boards. It's intercepted by Smith. Smith just cleared it back down the length. It wobbles wide of the net. Icing is the call against Larry Smith and the Mayhem. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Time is winding down. 3.5 minutes remain in period 3. The Havoc must score to get a point out of this game. I don't know if This hasn't really been a textbook 2-1 game, folks. When you think of 2-1 game, well, I suppose it has been. It's been pretty. The defending has been pretty darn good tonight, but there have been a lot of scoring chances that were snuffed out. Both of the goaltenders have had a really strong game tonight. The Mayhem have just been found guilty of back-to-back icings. This time I believe it was Carter Horwitz, the guilty party. So no sign just yet from Glenn DeTulio and Max Milasek. We assume in the next probably minute and a half or so, he will be heading to the Huntsville bench for a sixth attacker. Josh Keplinger tries to spring one past Anthony Calabrese, couldn't do it. Salkeld on the counterattack is watched very carefully by Carter Horwitz. Rahoriak swats it behind the opposing net. Larry Smith intercepts the pass from Derar to Rahoriak. Hoisted off the glass, held in the zone nicely by Salkeld. He's surrounded by black sweaters. Caesar slips one off the half wall on the far side. He will chip one off the glass. It's picked up by Salkeld, given away to Seamer. Seamer gets back on it and turns it sharply into the Havoc zone. Halted behind the Huntsville net by Max Milasek. Boy, if he goes to the bench, the Havoc will miss his playmaking skills. Milasek, a very mobile goaltender, loves to play the puck in, behind, and around his net and make passes. He's pretty darn good at it. Nukovic receives it and fires it off the blocker of Ian Silvis. Held in the zone by Pearl at the left point. He will carry behind the net and chip it away from Nick Minerva. Swatted along the end wall out to the half boards on the near side. Jarrett Cupp's clearing attempt is nullified by Brandrup. The Mayhem have cleared it on the second effort, but icing will be the call against Macon. This may be a time in which Leo Thomas decides to use his timeout. It certainly seems like a good time with his team nursing a tenuous one-goal lead, leading by just a goal and having just iced the puck with 2:12 remaining. This is as good a time as any for Leo Thomas to use his timeout, but he might decide to keep it in his back pocket just in case. I think that's what he's going to do. So play will continue here. The Mayhem with a few tired bodies out on the ice. Nukovic couldn't quite get the better of Caleb Cameron on that face-off as Sumalides will eke one out past Kaiser at the blue line. Trask joined by Sumalides. Trask finds the trailer. Minerva, he will shoot from the circle. Stopped. The rebound out towards Cameron, and it's cleared away from him by Nukovic, who recovers it in the corner and will send it along his own end wall. Anthony Calabrese backhands it up to Tyler Piacentini. Calabrese sends it off the back of Piacentini's skates. He gets back on it and will enter the Macon zone. He sends it around the boards. Jimmy Soper on the far side. Milasek, about a quarter of the way to his own bench, decided to stay put. Will this be an icing call? No, the Mayhem have gotten it down the length. 90 seconds remain. Macon leading Huntsville by a one-goal margin. That's been the case for the last 27 minutes or so of this game, as offside will be called against Huntsville when Nukovic played that puck on the far half wall. Normally in situations like this, in neutral zone face-offs, we'll see the goaltender sort of come out to the halfway point and make his decision then. Depending on what happens in the face-off, he'll either book it to his bench or he'll go back to the crease. The Havoc have won the draw. Milasek gets ready. He makes a break for it. Huntsville with 6 attackers. The 6th attacker on the ice is Trevor Gerling. The Mayhem scrapping for it along the half wall on the far side. Ryan Salkeld keeps it and kicks it down the boards. Gets it back at the left point. Salkeld with a curl and drag. Steps into the slot. He fires. Pad save Silvis. Rebound. Silvis makes a second save and sprawls on the loose puck. Able to deny. I believe that was Rob Derar on the far side. Check that. It was Ryan Salkeld. No, Sai Nukovic. I beg your pardon. Sai Nukovic with an outstanding opportunity to bury the rebound past Silvis. He was extremely frustrated with himself as he skated to the end wall and just sort of in frustration slammed his gloves and his stick, sort of just cross-checked the end boards out of frustration. Ian Silvis got the better of him. He has been perfect since the 16-second mark of this game. 58.8 seconds remain in regulation time. The Havoc need a goal to salvage a point from this game. Yeah, the clock has just been reset. They've added 1 second to it. 59.8 remains, so just shy of 1 minute remains in regulation time. Glenn DeTulio has just called his timeout. Both coaches will have an opportunity to go over some strategizing and some tactics on their benches right now. Leo Thomas will send out all of his defensive specialists, and Glenn DeTulio will send out all of his sharpshooters. sheer amount of firepower coming onto the ice from Huntsville's end. Pretty lethal. Tyler Piacentini, Cy Nukovic, Ryan Salkeld, Rob Derar, Nolan Kaiser, and Anthony Calabrese. Countered by Macon's top line, who's been excellent all night with 2 goals tonight. Jake Trask, Stathis Umelitis, Caleb Cameron, Jake Fiala, and Larry Smith. Smith leading all Mayhem defensemen with a +18 rating. He's one of the best in the business at keeping the puck out of his own net. The Mayhem steal the puck in the high slot. Stathis Umelitis chips it through past Calabrese. It's recovered by Nolan Kaiser behind his own goal line. He's got to make a play quick. He starts it out in front of his own net. Kaiser with a long breakout pass, chipped into the zone by Cy Nukovic and recovered by Fiala, who twists it back up the half wall on the far side. Trask can't clear it past Kaiser. He will send it down to Nukovic, reversed in the far corner, and it's battled for between Smith and Piacentini, won by the former of the two, but Smith doesn't give up on it. It is reversed by Salkeld, down along the goal line for Derar, up to the circle for Calabrese. His shot is blocked on the way through by Jake Fiala's skates. Now it's Umelitis. He slips away from one. He's got an empty net to shoot at, joined by Trask. Trask has it for the hat trick. He waits, he tries to pass, gets it right back, is tripped and shoots. Sprawling save, a diving stop is made by Anthony Calabrese. Jake Trask was tripped. I'm not sure how this isn't a penalty. The Havoc have just cleared it down the length. Icing is the call against Huntsville. And the Mayhem will get an offensive zone faceoff, so this game is over, but I'm not sure why Jake Trask being tripped wasn't a penalty. Not only that, it should have been an automatic goal. When you're tripped and you've got an empty net to shoot at, it's an automatic goal. And I'm not sure what Tyler Piacentini's upset about. His team just got a huge break. But this game is over unless Huntsville can conjure up a miracle. There's going to be a neutral zone face-off. They've got 2.5 seconds to get a shot from center ice. Nukovic and Soper doing some jaw-jacking and some chirping in the circle. Umelitis steps right in, gets in Nukovic's face to defend Jimmy Soper. Fans here loving that. Umelitis has got to be careful. Any sort of altercation in the last 5 minutes is an automatic suspension. And the linesman, I think, doing him, though Sumi doesn't realize it right now, I think Sean Delowy is doing him a big favor by separating him from Cy Nukovic. He's doing the Mayhem a favor as well. Umelitis has played an outstanding game tonight. He's got 2 assists, 2 primary assists, set up both of Jake Trask's goals. And the Mayhem have done it. They have held on for a 2-1 regulation win, have split the series with the Huntsville Havoc, have gone out on a high note on their last Saturday night home game of the regular season. 2-1 the final score in favor of the Mayhem, and they have jumped past the Fayetteville Marksmen for 5th place in the SPHL. Macon with 55 points now on the season, Fayetteville with 54, and a valiant team effort on hand tonight, who the Mayhem really just abided by all 3 keys of tonight's game. One was discipline. There were 55 penalty minutes in the 3rd period last night between both sides. Tonight, a total of just 6 against Macon. An outstanding adjustment made by Leo Thomas and company. You've got to tip your cap to the Mayhem for adjusting overnight in the way that they did. Secondly, smart line changes. The Mayhem obviously did that. There weren't any instances in which they were caught flat-footed, really. High-end scoring chances for Huntsville were pretty few and far between, and the high-end chances that they did get were all snuffed out by some brilliant play in net by Ian Silvis. And finally, protecting the middle of the ice, especially against some of Huntsville's high-end players. The Mayhem did a good job of that as well. I'm sure Ian Silvis has got to be kicking himself a little bit because he's been dying to get a shutout for a while, I'm sure. He has not gotten a shutout since joining the Mayhem, even though he's had some outstanding games. He would have had a shutout tonight if it weren't for the flukiest goal I've seen all season that just kind of trickled through his 5-hole in very unorthodox fashion. Stephen Rahoriak, 16 seconds into the game, tried to center a pass. It flopped off of Macon's stick and just sort of fluttered into the air and landed. I don't know if Silvis just didn't see it or wasn't prepared for it, or it just kind of was a fortunate bounce for Rahoriak or what, but it just squeaked through his 5-hole, barely crept over the goal line. Larry Smith, or rather Jarrett Cupp, tried to save it, but it just crossed the goal line, and Stephen Hoshaw pointed emphatically to signal a goal. From that point on, Silvis was perfect. Stathis Umelitis, the 3rd star of tonight's game, with a pair of assists. And the big part of the reason that Jake Trask buried 2 goals tonight Well-deserved second, or rather third star of tonight's game, Stathis Soumalides, in just his second game back after missing 19 when he was in the ECHL. And we were just talking about him. Ian Silvas is being announced right now by our public address announcer, Charles Olson, as the second star of tonight's game. And what a game he had. An unbelievable recovery for number 31. He got off to a really rough start, probably the worst start he's had all season, with that goal going in 16 seconds in, and he just did not let that deflate him. He was perfect, made 27 straight saves after that. And the man who got the Mayhem the win tonight, single-handedly responsible for the Mayhem's goal scoring, Jake Trask, number 29, the team's longest tenured player, came to the forefront, and he helped Ian Silvas get over that blunder just a minute and 18 seconds after it happened. He sort of went coast to coast. He crisscrossed into the offensive zone on a scissor play with Stathis Soumalides, who dropped it to him. Trask cut into the slot and fired a backhander under the blocker of Max Milasek to get the Mayhem on the board. He would later score the second goal, his second goal on the night. He had an opportunity to get a hat trick again, and for the umpteenth time I jinxed him. I thought that one was going to be in the bag because it was an empty net. He tried to make the selfless play by passing to Stathis Soumalides. It was broken up. Trask was then tripped from behind, and Huntsville somehow didn't get a penalty for it. And that penalty would have given Trask the hat trick, because if you are guilty of a penalty with an empty net, especially in a situation like that, that's an automatic goal. And Huntsville avoided being called on the penalty, and for some reason Tyler Piacentini was upset about it. And that's what it looked like, at least. He skated to center ice and was arguing. I'm sure it was something unrelated to that, but he was arguing something with Stephen Hoshaw in the neutral zone. But anyways, I'm not sure Trask really cares too much about hat tricks at this point. He just wants his team to win. And they did tonight. They bounced back in the best way they could have. They stayed disciplined. They kept things simple. They were missing a couple of big pieces. No Kristaps Bazovics tonight due to injury. No Zach Urban tonight due to suspension. No Dakota Kletcha due to a minor injury as well. So the Mayhem just knew, with being shorthanded like that they had to keep this game pretty low scoring and tight. They had to be smart. They had to make well-timed line changes. And they had to be well positioned. They had to help the defensemen out on the back check. They had to take away the neutral zone in the middle of the ice from players like Sai Nukovic and Ryan Salked, who are just so dangerous there. And the Mayhem did a terrific job of that so far tonight. The final score, 2-1 in favor of Macon. The shots on goal at the very end favoring Huntsville 28-21. So the Havoc pulled ahead at the end, got the better of Macon in the third period in terms of shots, but Ian Silvas able to hold his ground, made 27 consecutive saves tonight to earn his 11th victory of the season. He is back up to 500, 11-2, Ian Silvas' record this season. A very well-deserved second star of the game performance for him. Again, folks, your three stars of tonight's game were, in the following order, Jake Trask, Ian Silvas, and Stathis Soumalides. Real quick, let's take a look around the SPHL for one last out-of-town scoreboard update, brought to you by Hampton Inn & Suites. Roanoke doubling up their lead on the Evansville Thunderbolts. They now hold a 2-0 advantage, two-thirds of the way through that contest. It looks like the third period has just gotten underway up in Evansville. Pensacola Ice Flyers, Knoxville Ice Bears tied in a 1-1 score. That's the game the Mayhem will be paying very close attention to over the next hour or so. Birmingham defeating Peoria by a 2-1 score as well. Excuse me, that game's not over yet. It's in the second intermission right now, but the Birmingham Bulls hold the lead and are hoping to complete the sweep over Peoria on home ice. Quad City beating up on Fayetteville, but the Marksmen made things close tonight. They drew to within one, but just could not tie things up at the end. 7-6 was the final score in favor of the Quad City Storm, who have done the Mayhem quite a service by beating Fayetteville in regulation. As a result, the Mayhem have been able to jump back in front of the Fayetteville Marksmen and secure sole possession of 5th place in the SPHL standings, making the playoff picture a little bit less murky and clearer for Macon. We'll wrap up this game for you one last time. Steven Rahoriak got the ball rolling for Huntsville 16 seconds into the contest, just entered the zone on the left side and sent it into the slot. It redirected off a Macon stick and fluttered through Ian Silvas' 5-hole. A fluky goal given up by Silvas, but he did not let that deflate him. He kept his head up and drastically improved his play from that point on. He was perfect, made 27 unanswered saves, and would give up no more goals for the rest of the night, including a huge save on Huntsville superstar Cy Nukovic from the side of the net on that big rebound. Silvas, that was probably his biggest save of the game. He also made a brilliant glove save on John Shivo, who scored yesterday on Tanner Creel. Jake Trask, solely responsible for Macon's goals. Stathis Sumilidis assisting on both of them. He got a primary assist on both of them. Jake Fayella, a secondary on Jake Trask's first goal, which came a minute and 18 seconds after Rahoriak's goal. So Jake Trask entered the zone on the right side. He received the pass from Sumilidis, sort of a drop pass on the zone entry, and cut into the slot and backhanded a shot under Max Milisek's blocker, and then added another one on a 2-on-1 rush. Sumilidis fed him a nice feathery pass on a 2-on-1. Peter Sakalis was the only defenseman back for Huntsville, and he couldn't slow down all that firepower between Sumilidis and Trask. That's a lot of talent, and Jake Trask was able to bury it under the crossbar to give Macon its first lead of the weekend, which they would hold for the rest of the night. 2-1, your final here in Macon. We'd like to thank everyone who has joined us tonight on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Whether you're a Mayhem fan or a Havoc fan, we really would like to thank you for taking time out of your Saturday night to tune into this one. It was a good one to watch or to listen to. We hope you had as much fun as we did watching this, witnessing it, broadcasting it, you name it. Mayhem fans, we hope you enjoyed the broadcast because we know you enjoyed the outcome. The Mayhem snapping a 3-game winless skid and crawling back into 5th place in the SPHL standings. They sit now just 2 points behind the Knoxville Ice Bears, who are playing the Pensacola Ice Flyers as we speak. If you're still watching this one, I would recommend switching over to that one in the meantime. So the Mayhem will travel to Pensacola next weekend, Friday and Saturday night, down at the Pensacola Bay Center to square off against the 8th-seeded Pensacola Ice Flyers. They will then return home to host the Knoxville Ice Bears on Fan Appreciation Night on Friday, March 29th. That will be the Mayhem's last home game of the 2018-19 regular season before finishing off that home-and-home series out in Knoxville the following night and heading up to Peoria to close the regular season on Friday, April 5th and Saturday, April 6th. Alex Von Coydel signing off from the Macon Centreplex for the penultimate time this season. So long, folks, and we'll talk to you next 2 Fridays from now when the Mayhem host the Knoxville Ice Bears on Fan Appreciation Night. Till then, so long, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.